AL Championship Series. The Mets down 8-1 in the Braves in the bottom of the 8th last night. Then Terry Mulholland walked Derek Bell with the bases loaded. Then Edgardo Alfonso tied it up at 8. No Rocker, no Wohlers, no Jeff Reardon, no Gene Glover. It's Terry Mulholland pitching to Mike Piazza and surrendering the game-losing 3-run homer. 10 in the 8th for the Mets as they rally to beat the Bravos. Today, Greg Maddux, back from the flu, faces a Piazza who's merely driven in a run in 13 straight. In Chicago, is the streak of the darn Sox going to end? The White have not won since 1917. The Red not since 1918. But save for Nomar, the Bostons are dropping like flies, and there aren't any big hurts in Chicago besides Frank. From Fox Park, where we know if you're going to hold up a sign saying John Rocker is ignorant, you better spell ignorant correctly. It's the Fox Saturday Baseball pregame show alongside Steve Lott. You've lost weight.
Come on, you know I'm always going to be fit and trim when I'm sitting next to you.
Steve is at Shea, and as John Rocker returned to New York, many expected that the word callous would be heard, but we thought, Steve, it would be callous in terms of behavior, not in terms of skin.
Well, I got to tell you, being at the last 2 ball games here, you got to remember, I don't get the opportunity to be a fan and sit in the ballpark very often. The atmosphere here is electric. They gave out more media passes than they did, 100 more media passes than they did in last year's playoffs for the Mets. So it's unbelievable. The problem for Rocker, he couldn't get in the ball game last night because of a split on his thumb. Mulholland was overused, but he was in the game. Kerry Lightenberg was overused, also in the game. Rocker felt worse about that than anything else.
When I went down to the bullpen in the 7th and I tried to make one throw, and it just wasn't going to happen.
Can you show it to the cameras?
That's it right there. Pretty torn up, like a dog's been chewing on it.
You disappointed you weren't able to?
Oh, yeah, really let the team down tonight, big time.
I talked to John Rocker earlier today. He said there's no way he can get in the game, but that may change a little bit later on. Other big news for the Braves, Chipper Jones back and in the lineup today. He had a baby boy yesterday named Larry Wayne III. They're going to call him Trey. Why you do that to anybody, who knows? Other news, of course, we know about Dave Justice coming to the Yankees. Sammy Sosa, that situation, as I reported a few weeks ago, I thought he'd end up in a Yankee uniform. If you're a Yankee fan, blame the Cubs for this. They wanted too much for a guy who's quickly becoming an aging one-dimensional power hitter. They wanted anywhere from 5 to 7 guys, depending on what report you hear. We are now understanding that there's a possibility that the Arizona Diamondbacks might now be interested in Sammy Sosa. But for more news on last night's unbelievable comeback by the Mets, let's go up to Joe and Tim.
All right, Steve, by the way, you do look great. We are up here in the booth, and wasn't it nice to wake up this morning and pick up any one of the 17 newspapers that are at your fingertips here in the city of New York and not read any headlines about John Rocker?
Now, the reason for that, on the way to this forum, a funny thing happened. This forum called Shea, the Mets scoring 10 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, and in their history, they have only come back from a greater deficit one time, and that was 1972.
Meanwhile, if you're the New York Mets, this could have turned into a disastrous weekend, because had they lost the first 2 and then faced Greg Maddux today, which is the story, this could have been a big-time disaster for the Mets here at home against their archenemy, the Atlanta Braves. Let's send it back out to Los Angeles, Century City, wherever, and check in with Keith Olbermann. Keith.
Joe, Tim, thanks. Meanwhile, for the next 2 weeks at least, the Mets will be chasing the Braves without the reliable righty Rick Reed, officially on the disabled list today after he took an Andrew Jones line drive off his non-pitching wrist on Thursday night, one he never saw due to all the gray in the billboard behind home plate. Top Mets prospect Grant Roberts may replace him in the rotation. And David Justice made his Yankee debut last night in Tampa. An offer as New York lost. Cleveland gets a very disappointed Ricky Leday, 2 players to be named, probably including pitcher Jake Westbrook, and the annual Yankee payroll soars to 9 figures. To be precise, $102,724,260.
I was shocked. I just didn't know. I mean, I knew that I was going to get traded. I just didn't expect to be Cleveland. For any reason, I thought that it was going to be Chicago, since they were just talking about Sosa.
It's truly an honor for me. I really feel blessed. Like I said, it's just an honor to even put this. I was looking at myself just a minute ago, just cannot believe I got a Yankee uniform on. I mean, it's just amazing to me.
And another AL East team shoring up via the trademark. The Red Sox get veteran third baseman Ed Sprague from the Padres for 2 minor leaguers, one of whom is the evocatively named pitcher Dennis Tankersley. In the AL Central, the distance from first to second place is 9.5 games. In the AL West, the distance from first to last is now just 8 games. First place Seattle in Texas last night. Robert Ramsey meet Rafael Palmeiro. The Rangers got 7 in the 7th. Talk about comebacks like the Mets did. Texas 13-3 the final. In Anaheim, Garrett Anderson celebrating his 28th birthday. He brought his own presents. Randy Velarde off Brian Cooper, and this would be Garrett at full extension. He may be old, but he has full hops. And then Anderson visiting Fox Mulder. 22nd homer of the year, Brian Cooper the shutout, 3-hitter, Angels 7 A's nothing. The Mariners thus still lead the A's by half a game with the third-place Angels 5 back, and Texas, having won 3 straight now, are within 8. The National League West is tightening up as well. Game knotted at 4 against San Diego. Darren Bragg to score Tom Goodwin. The Rockies go up 5-4. Pedro Estacio wins that one. And then in Phoenix, Pete Harnisch making his first start since he came off the DL. Alex Cabrera, the first baseman, swing and a miss. 5 strikeouts and a 2-run single for Harnisch as the Reds win. At China Basin, Dodgers ought to move there. Gary Sheffield, it's deep, and I don't think it's playable. And if you didn't like that, how about this one? 27 homers for Sheffield as the Dodgers again beat the Giants 9-2, all of which cuts the Snakes' lead in this division over the Rolling Rockies to a game with the Dodgers still hovering at 4.5 behind. A break now. When we come back, Dave Justice may help the Yankees, but history suggests they'll pay a lot for him later. And back to Shea for Steve's report on the most famous would-be commuter on New York subway's number 7 to Flushing.
The comments I made over 6 months ago offended many people. I'm fully aware of this, and for that I sincerely apologize.
The John Rocker situation was diffused slightly in an unexpected way Thursday night by a fan who held up a sign reading, "How do you spell ignorant?" R-O-C-K-E-R, only he misspelled ignorant. And Steve, as you know all too well, it has been that kind of series.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to spell it right either. You know, I'm feeling a little boxed in over here. I wish I had a little bit more room to move around. But, you know, I've been here for the last 3 days doing the same thing that everyone else has done with all the media here, the crunch in town, obviously, about the hoopla about John Rocker. And what we tried to do is we tried to see if we could talk to him. Heck, we tried to see if we could just find him.
He had 9 lives, and he's using them up pretty
What
good.
would you do if you quit baseball?
I'd be a stockbroker, probably. And every game you got to face it, you got to hear one guy on your team being a cancer.
Well, here we are again, right back in New York. We're doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. We're looking for John Rocker. I was just wondering, that bus right there, is that John Rocker won't be on that bus? He's not going to be on that bus? No, he's not. Why not? They told me that... Well, whatever they told you was a lie. I'm taking the threads, man. This is the sweetest outfit I think I've ever seen. Walk right by you and say, "Hey, John, what's up?" No, I'd say, "Hi, John, what's up?" You give him the your #1 salute?
I don't think it's the sort of outfit you'd see John Rocker in.
No, I don't think so.
Whoever here.
Yeah. If he's going to take that 7 train like he said he was going to do, he's got to pick it up right here at Grand Central Station.
Number 7. Stop it at Shea Stadium. All New York Mets.
Anybody seen John Rocker on this train? Anybody? No? We're not freaks and mutants, are we? We're just people riding the train. Where's he at? God knows. Oh, there's some Mets fans right there. I don't think God knows where he's at. He's not going to be on this train. He's not going to be on this train? Nah, he won't come on this train.
I tell you one thing. Whatever the kid said was the truth. He didn't lie. He saw what he saw, and he made comments of it. That was the end of it.
Yeah, but how about when he said, you know, you can walk through Times Square for a block and never even hear English being spoken?
When was the last
Where
time
did these people come from?
When was the last time you walked through Times Square?
Earlier today.
Hello? You're the only American.
Hey, sir, you forgot your hood! Wow! Can you believe the attention on this game? 375 media passes passed out for Thursday night's ball game. That's 100 more than they passed out for the playoffs. That's crazy.
It looks like the president's here. Yep, it's a shame. We're wasting all this money. He should have never came.
This is the new bullpen where the Braves are warming up the canopy down there so nobody can see into the players while they're sitting there. This fence is here. And guess who's here? John Rocker. John, are you apprehensive at all? Are you afraid? What? Just the atmosphere here? Yeah. Playoff atmosphere, this is good. You're going bye-bye in 2 weeks! What are you going to do, Red Sox? I was riding the train today. I was waiting for you. You think it was smart that you decided not to do that?
I'm just picking my spots, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta pick your spots.
Please, fella.
Please, back it up.
The comments I made over 6 months ago offended many people. I'm fully aware of this, and for that I sincerely apologize.
Pretty wild out here right now as John
He got him. A 1, 2, 3, 8 for John Rocker. Walking slowly off the mound towards the Braves dugout.
Bobby, I thought it was a great move to get John Rocker in the game and get him in the 8th, where he doesn't feel the pressure of having to close out a game. Was that your thinking?
I thought it was a good way to break him in. He did a good job, but that doesn't take away from what he said about all these people out here. These are good people.
I think he has a good heart. He just said some things that that no one liked, including myself, and he regretted, and he showed some regret, and now it's time to shake his hand and put your arm around him and say, let's go.
Good work, Steve. Of course, John was signing Javi Lopez's name on those baseballs. Anyway, about that Yankee deal for Dave Justice. For a quarter of a century, this has been their standard trade, youth and prospects for experience. But does it mean a season saved or a future mortgaged? It started on May 16, 1976, when Billy Martin talked George Steinbrenner into trading pitcher Larry Dura to the Royals for catcher Fran Healy. Healy would get 47 hits for the Yanks. Dura would win 111 games for KC. A month later, Scott McGregor and Tippy Martinez in a 10-player deal to Baltimore for Ken Holtzman. Another 138 wins and 105 saves right there. 1977, Lamar Hoyt, 98 wins and a Cy Young to the White Sox for Bucky Dent. Terry Whitfield for Marty Perez. Willie Upshaw, 123 homers, lost to Toronto in that winter's draft. 1980, Damaso Garcia, 318 steals for Rick Cerrone. 1981, minor leaguer Willie McGee to St. Louis for Bob Sykes. Bob Sykes never pitched for the Yankees. McGee got 2,254 hits and 352 steals. Greg Gagne for Roy Smalley in 82. Gagne, one of 5 guys who hit at least 100 homers after the Yankees traded him. Matt Tabler for Jay Howell. In 82, Gene Nelson for Shane Rawley. Andy McGaffigan for Doyle Alexander, who went 1-9, and maybe the worst, to get Toronto to take Dave Collins off their hands in 82, the Yanks threw in Fred McGriff. Threw him in. That was over 400 homers ago. In 1983, Steve Balboni for Mike Armstrong. Tim Burke, 102 saves for Pat Rooney. 1985, Otis Nixon for Toby Harrah. Otis Nixon stole 618 bases. Then, Jay Howell, Eric Plunk, Jose Rio, Stan Javier for Ricky Henderson. 109 wins for Rio, 148 saves for Howell, and Javier now has nearly as many steals as Ricky did in New York. Rex Hudler for Gary Renicky. Rex Hudler got more hits than all but 2 of the guys the Yanks got in these deals. Jim Deshaies for Joe Niekro. In 86, Doug Drabek for Rick Rhoden. Rhoden 28 and 22. Drabek 142 and 115. Bob Tewksbury, another 100 wins for Steve Trout, 0 and 4. 1988, very painful. Jay Buhner to Seattle for Ken Phelps. Phelps, 17 homers. Buhner approaching 300 homers. 1996, Matt Drews for Cecil Fielder. 1997, Tony Armas Jr. for Mike Stanley. 3 homers, 12 RBI. 1998, Eric Milton, 8 and 2 for the Twins. Already a no-hitter, plus Christian Guzman, plus Brian Buchanan for Chuck Knobloch. 2,000 for Sammy Sosa? No. For David Justice? Yes. Ricky Leday, future Hall of Famer? These are the numbers through last night of all the hitters the Yanks gave up and all of them they obtained. The ex-Yanks have hit 1,452 homers. The guys they got for them, 263. Each RBI now has cost them 6 later. Each stolen base 4.5 later. And the pitchers they dealt are a combined 140 games over 500. The ones they got 10 games over 500. All told, only 5 of these guys they've traded for appeared on any of their 5 World Champions. A final thought from Shea Stadium and Steve Lyons and the Mets and Braves.
Well, Keith, I think the best thing that came out of the 3 days here is the fact that he did apologize. I think his team needed to hear that as well as the fans across the country. And I think he said it best. He said, I am merely a ball player. Why do we really care about what John Rocker thinks? It was embarrassing being a part of this media crush. We should be here to see great baseball between 2 excellent teams. Keith, back to you.
All right, Steve, and we'll keep us up to date on things as they develop. Before we go, a sad farewell to one of baseball's greatest fans, the actor Walter Matthau. Oscar Madison in the play and movie The Odd Couple, the coach in Bad News Bears, passed away this morning in Santa Monica at the age of 78. One of his lesser-known hobbies, impersonating the great baseball announcers like Vin Scully. For Steve Lyons, I'm Keith Olbermann. I'll be here
He's the heart and soul of the Red Sox, but Pedro Martinez is hurt, and the Red Sox are too. They're in third place, and without their ace, Boston will have to dig in behind Nomar and Carl Everett in the AL East. On Chicago's South Side, baseball's best team continues to excel. The White Sox are 21 games over 500 and are running away with their division. But two questions remain. Can anybody catch the White Sox? And who are these guys? Find out next. Fox Saturday Baseball's Game of the Week from the south side of Chicago. The Red Sox and White Sox before a big crowd this afternoon at Comiskey Park. The Red Sox can't wait to get the month of July started. They really struggled in June. They're a game over 500 in third place, 3.5 games behind the Blue Jays. Meanwhile, the White Sox magical season continues. A whopping 9.5 game lead over the Indians. That's a bigger lead than any other division leader in baseball. And yes, they're 21 games over 500, the best record in the major leagues. Last night they won 10-4 and they outslugged the Red Sox. They hit 5 home runs. Frank Thomas hit 2 of them. And the big hurt now, 10 runs driven in away from the all-time White Sox franchise record. 4 runs driven in for his career. In a word, Frank has been amazing. Hello again, everybody, along with the former manager of the White Sox, Jeff Torborg. Chip Caray, welcome to Comiskey Park. And as we begin the month of July, Jeff, we greet two teams really headed in two different directions. The Red Sox struggling, the White Sox having an amazing year.
The White Sox had a great month of June, 20-7 in the toughest part of their schedule. The Yankees, the Indians, they tore right through it. They've scored almost 7 runs a game. You got a chance to win some games like that. Jerry Manuel has this club on a roll. They're having fun. They're not analyzing what they're doing. They're enjoying it.
Red Sox having some problems. A 9-18 record in June. You lose your ace in Pedro Martinez, who was scheduled to start today. He begrudgingly went to the DL. They're also missing some power at the corners all across that diamond.
Well, this is a ball club that really is an overachieving club anyway. They did it last year, but arguably when you lose your best pitcher, and then possibly the best pitcher in baseball, you've got problems. They have problems, without a doubt. It's shown in their record.
So it should be an interesting ball game today. It's the White Sox and the Red Sox. Boston will have to rely on that big bat of Nomar Garciaparra. He's hitting .396 on the year. Carl Everett also having a spectacular season for the Red Sox. Time to bristle up and hunker down. It's the White Sox and the Red Sox coming up next.
Fox Saturday Baseball is brought to you by Pepsi, the joy of cola. By Rogaine Extra Strength for men. By WorldCom Generation D. And by Pet Boys. Cars like us, people love us.
It's a gorgeous day in the Windy City. Nice crowd gathering for this weekend set between the White Sox and the Red Sox. Weather, it's warm, it's breezy, 77 degrees. Forecast for the day, partly cloudy, only a very slight chance of any liquid sunshine today. The Red Sox come in a game over 500, 3.5 games behind the Blue Jays in the AL East, and their standard lineup looks this way today. Jose Offerman leads it off at first base, followed by Jeff Caray, and the AL's leading hitter, Nomar Garciaparra, who has been roasting hot since coming off the DL late in May. Newly acquired Ed Sprague in the cleanup spot at third base. Carl Everett back from a root canal in center. Morgan Burkhart, the DH. Brian Daubach is in left. Jason Varitek behind the plate. And Izzy Alcantara, the right fielder for Jimmy Williams' Red Sox.
Now Mike Sirotka on the mound, the left-hander at 6'1", 200 pounds, 29 years of age. A control-type pitcher, has more hits in innings pitched, which is the way he normally pitches. Keeps the walks down, can strike you out. He's the kind of pitcher who can change speeds. He's got a strange-looking two-seam grip on his fastball, almost like a split finger, makes it sink. Good downer curveball, very effective cutter that he uses, and a semicircle change. What I mean by that is he doesn't get his index finger and thumb together, but he's really got great screwball action out of it.
And Jeff, a much different-looking White Sox defense. They suffered a big blow last night. Maglio Ordonez has a bad leg. He can't play today, so Jose Valentin moves to right field. Hasn't played there all year, in fact. Tony Graffinino in at shortstop with Perry Durham and Canerco joining him on the infield. Lee and Singleton join the new right fielder for the White Sox. And that last statistic you see is one that White Sox faithful don't like to talk about. It's been the only blemish for this magical season, but 72 errors might prove to be a big problem in a short series should the White Sox make it that far. Our broadcast today also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP or SAP button on your television. Ready to go on a gorgeous day at Comiskey Park. And Jeff, I know it tugs at your heartstrings a bit to come back to Chicago and look at this organization for whom you once managed. They are having an amazing season and a good start for Sirotka at strike one.
Well, the key is that they've got all the parts of the equation except for their defense working well for them. As you can see, Sirotka's a painter. He got the first one over right down with a sinker down in the middle of the plate, just missed on the outside part. But now the fans of the south side of Chicago are buying into this product, and it's really neat.
Lined out of play to the right side by Offerman. And it's strike 2-2. The switch hitting first baseman for Boston.
You know, this is a guy, as you know very well, Chip, this is a great sports town, and they're very discerning fans on the south side. But boy, if they believe in what you're doing, they'll be there for you, and they're starting to come out here.
That just missed, says umpire Mike Van Vliet. And the count now 2 balls, 2 strikes to Offerman. Offerman with 3 home runs, 21 driven in. And a little ground ball hit to Graffinino at short. And we're underway at Comiskey Park, 1 man down. Mike Van Vliet calls the balls and strikes. Jeff Kellogg is at first. Lazaro Diaz at second, and Mike Riley, the umpire, at third. First day of July. White Sox, sad to see June end. Red Sox couldn't be happier. 2 very different records and 2 very different positions in the standings for these 2 clubs.
Well, as Jeff Pfeiffer, the Red Sox, steps in, one of the things Jerry Manuel, the manager of the White Sox, keeps harping on with his young club, it doesn't matter who we're playing, we still have got to play our game.
And when he says who we're playing, he means it quite literally, who is in his lineup. They're not going to cancel the games no matter the injury situation for Boston. Jerry Manuel certainly plenty to smile about. The best record in the game, 21 games over 500. First team to 50 wins this year in the big leagues. That's scorched toward Perry at third. Good pick up, 2 down. Fry hits it sharply, but is 2 for 5 now in the series.
Well, as much as the Red Sox are scuffling, as we mentioned, because of the injuries, this next guy, Garcia Parra, is amazing. He is a throwback. He's the type of player that loves to get his uniform dirty. Yeah, he's hitting .396. I talked to him before the game. He didn't even want to talk about that. He's upset that his team isn't winning and that he's not contributing more. How much more could the guy contribute? But I mean, and this guy is sincere about it. Boy, what a player he is.
8 home runs, 43 runs driven in. Might be what Nomar is talking about. But obviously one of the great stars in the game, and he ropes that one out of play, foul. Garcia Parra last year, 27 home runs, 104 batted in, and won the batting title, a .357 average.
And you can see why. Look at his hit zone. The only place he doesn't like the ball's up and out over the plate, and even there he hits .265.
Another ground ball to short. Graffinino gobbles that up. Toss across in time. Red Sox out. 3 ground balls in the top of the first. Here come the south side hitmen. The Red Sox down in order in the top of the first, and here's Jerry Manuel's Chicago White Sox starting lineup. Ray Durham, the spark plug, leads things off at second base. Jose Valentin is in right field for an injured Maglio Ordonez. The injury not considered serious. Frank Thomas had an unbelievable June. 2 more home runs last night. Paul Konerko is at first base. Chris Singleton in center. Carlos Lee in left. Herbert Perry at third. Tony Graffinino, a former Devil Ray, is at shortstop. And Mark Johnson catches and hits ninth against a young man making his major league debut. And boy, what a task he's got. Paxton Crawford has to go against one of the game's best offenses on their home turf here in Chicago.
Well, here's a guy that came from Double-A, then to Triple-A to the big leagues. This is the kind of stuff that he can throw strikes with. 2 types of fastballs. He throws 90 to 92. One of his fastballs sinks. He's got a very good circle change, and he's got an improving slider. He must work down in the zone with this offense, though.
Only 13 walks for Paxton Crawford in the minor leagues this year. He went 4-1 at AAA with an ERA just over 3 in 6 starts. So the White Sox at a big disadvantage to start the game. They don't know what this kid has, and we will see as well. Ray Durham hitting .278, 12 homers and 43 runs driven in.
Chip, that's a real good point. When a club, a major league club, does not know anything about a pitcher, never seen him, but just are going by scouting reports, it might take them a little while to get the feel.
So far, the young right-handers had everything up in the zone, and that will be trouble if that trend continues. Durham has walked 30 times in 316 at-bats. An on-base percentage of about .345. And he's way ahead in the count. 3 balls and a strike.
Now, Von Joshua, an outstanding major league hitter for a lot of years, has given them a game plan off of scouting reports.
Hot shot towards short, and Omar makes the play. 1 man down.
And when you get the scouting report, it's very difficult because in the scouting report they'll talk about miles per hour. It's tough to judge that. So Vaughn has got to try to tell these guys how to stay through the middle of the field. And Ray Durham just got jammed. And part of that is because he didn't know the pitcher.
But the second time through will be a much truer test as to the stuff of young Paxton Crawford. And here's Valentin. Some folks were a little concerned about Valentin playing the outfield. Jerry Manuel has said, as he makes his first outfield start in the major leagues, he's played in all the outfield positions in the minor leagues as well as in winter ball. So he's not uncomfortable at all about putting his everyday shortstop out in right.
You know, it's interesting. There's been a lot of talk in Milwaukee about moving Valentin permanently to the outfield. He's that good an athlete. They were talking about playing him as a center fielder. He's got the same kind of ability. You know, he has at shortstop. He makes some errors at shortstop, but he's got the ability to run down a ball and throw well.
And he goes down on strikes. There's that very good changeup.
Outstanding circle change this pitch was, and this is what this kid lives on as his out pitch. Now he's got to get ahead in order to throw it. But watch this. Watch how it'll sink away from Valentin. See it start to move away from him. Even though it was elevated, it still had some action away. And here comes the big man. Look at the size of Big Frank.
22 homers, 67 batted in. And Frank Thomas closing in on Luke Appling. First pitch swinging, a rocket hit to Fry at second, and the White Sox are retired in order. Both starters threw 9 pitches in their first inning, and a successful start for Paxton Crawford so far. Well, this game's not so tough, is it, Jeff? Paxton Crawford gets the White Sox out on 9 pitches in the first, and now we go to the second inning with the newest member of the Red Sox digging in. Ed Sprague came over from San Diego for infielder Cesar Saba and Dennis Tankersley, a young right-handed pitcher. And Sprague really, Jeff, fills a glaring need for the Red Sox. When John Valentin went down, they've had all kinds of problems filling the power and RBI position at third base, and they hope Sprague can do it the rest of this year.
Well, he changed his approach to hitting last year, Chip, when he was with Pittsburgh. He got into like the Mickey Kettleton stance where he holds the bat laying back toward the catcher, and then it drives his front shoulder back in toward the pitcher. He had an excellent year last year offensively.
Especially in the first half of the season as he falls behind 0-2. He was an all-star with the Pirates. He hit .300, had 16 home runs, and 53 batted in the first half of the year. Second half, just 6 home runs, 28 batted in 56 games before he broke his left hand to end the year. Pirates did not bring him back. Went to San Diego where he played very well. And now he finds himself in Boston and a chance to be a real hero at Fenway Park.
Well, his kind of stroke, you know, that short porch at Fenway is inviting. He's got the ability to dive into the ball. You see him go after that. He broke his bat on this pitch. But what he has done, he used to hold his hands high and back. If you remember, after he came out of Stanford, he was with the Toronto Blue Jays. He hit that big home run, a pinch hit home run in the World Series against Atlanta. And then had a couple pretty good years with the Blue Jays and then struggled. One of the problems he had was he started to pull off the ball a lot. So this stance that he uses now, where he just lays the hands back and then he takes them back, he dives into the ball, has made him that much tougher a hitter.
The other question fans will have about Sprague is, will he be able to hit enough to overcome a shaky glove? He had 29 errors at third base last season on the artificial surface.
Yeah, but you know, most of those were throwing. You're right, and you wonder.
1-2 to Sprague, and he's down swinging. Sirotka looking very sharp, has his first strikeout of our ball game at Comiskey Park.
Well, that's Mike Sirotka right there. He'll pitch on both sides of the plate, but then when he's up on the count, he'll try to take something off. He goes a little slower, then he'll sneak a 90-mile-an-hour fastball in there. Now he's going to have quite a matchup right here. Carl Everett climbs up on the top of the plate and challenges either way, when he's left or right, throw the ball in on him. Very aggressive hitter.
And boy, do the Astros miss this guy. Last year, Carl Everett hit .325, 25 home runs, 108 batted in, stole 27 bases. He did everything. And Boston is delighted to have Everett back in the lineup, and now we've got a delay. I think he might have gotten something in his eye. The team trainer for the Red Sox will come out and attend to Everett.
You know, he really works on how he tries to focus on a pitcher, where he sets with his eyes. He doesn't want to lock in too soon. He talked to us about it yesterday.
And this is what Carl Everett had to say about that.
When he comes to his position where he likes to release the ball, that's when I want to really gain my focus. Simply because if you just sit there and just stare at the pitcher, a bug can fly by you, and at that time he can reach his release.
It flies into your eye. Does that affect your batting eye? Downstairs, ball 2, 2-0 to Everett.
Well, that'll have something to do with your focus. But what he is saying, there are a lot of guys who work with hitters that talk about their eye focus, about not getting locked in too soon.
That ball lined toward left. Carlos Lee has it, and there is out number 2. Sirotka perfect through an inning and 2/3.
Now let's just take a look at what we're talking about. Right at the end, you'll see when your pitcher's coming in, he tries to get his eyes focused right on the pitcher. Now this is where he's got his head right down now, right down the bat. But what he'll look for is before he gets set with his eyes, he'll watch the pitcher come through his delivery and then lock in. In other words, he doesn't want to get there too soon. His feeling is, and a lot of experts feel, if you get staring at somebody, then your eyes will water and you won't be focused properly.
Morgan Burkhart stands in. He's been quite a find for the Red Sox. This young man has played in the Frontier League and the Mexican League. And in 1998, while playing for the unforgettable Richmond Roosters, hit .404 with 36 home runs and 98 driven in. Cock-a-doodle-doo indeed.
You know, I saw him play this spring, and he's a switch hitter. I saw him hit a gargantuan home run left-handed. He's a pretty good hitter.
Heck yeah, he's hitting .533 in the major leagues.
Well, you know, it's not an exact science, this scouting that major leaguers do. So he was in an independent league just trying to establish himself. He's got one of those Galarraga type stances where he starts wide open and then comes back to the plate.
And boy, he can turn on a pitch inside, can't he? That one rockets it out of play, 2-2. Burkhart, a native of St. Louis, Missouri. Great baseball town as well. And he stands in with the bases clear and 2 outs.
You know, it's nice to see stories like this. This kid was written off by professional baseball, and then he gets into the independent league. He's worked hard, real strong looking guy, and he's back in the major leagues. I like to hear that. His dream is still working.
Strike 3 called. Big breaking ball. Boy, Sirotka really is painting beautifully. 6 up, 6 down. Paul Konerko will lead it off for the Southsiders next.
Fox Saturday Baseball is brought to you by FreeInternet.com. For 100% free internet access, go to FreeInternet.com and download today.
Well, this live view courtesy of the Bud 1 airship, seen by millions on its ongoing Goodwill Tour. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Jeff Torborg, Chip Caray from Comiskey Park. We're scoreless, and here comes Paul Konerko to lead things off. Konerko having a fine year, 295, 11 home runs. He's knocked in 49. And a quick strike over the outside corner. So many theories, so many different explanations, Jeff, as to why this White Sox team has come together so quickly. Some will say to Jerry Manuel and Frank Thomas's very heated discussion in spring training. Some will point to that horrible series of brawls against the Detroit Tigers. Others will say that when they went to Cleveland and went to Yankee Stadium and swept their road trip, that the White Sox players themselves started to believe that this was a team in a season of destiny.
Well, I think there are a lot of factors involved. You know, Jerry Manuel is a very strong man. He's very sensible, very spiritual. He talks about the man first, the player second. And I think these players realize how honest he is. And I think this has been building for a couple years here. The pieces are slowly coming together, and now it's all together now. And he's believed in this as far back as last year and even before on that pop-up right in the middle of the field.
Offerman makes a tough play. Climbing the mound. Offerman, a second baseman by trade, playing first for the Red Sox, made a fine effort. And that's out number 1 in the second inning.
That seems like a very simple play, but that's a tough play. If the infielders are playing back, the ball goes up over the mound. The pitcher, his first inclination is to try and get the ball, but then they get him out of the way. But here comes Offerman. Somebody's got to take command of that ball in the middle of the field. I've had problems when I was managing where I had a couple pitchers wouldn't get off the mound, and everybody looked like a car wreck all around him because he didn't get out of the way.
Here's Singleton playing center field for the Sox. Tries to bunt and fouls it away.
Well, see, now here's a piece. Chris Singleton came over. It was almost a giveaway by the Yankees, giving this guy, they didn't have any room for him, to the White Sox. He had a sensational rookie year last year. The pieces that Ron Schuler's put together, the general manager of the White Sox, they're all starting to blend now, and that's the job Jerry Manuel and his coaches have worked at.
Ball 1 upstairs to Singleton. Still, there are a lot of people in this town, fairly or unfairly, who think back to the white flag trade and still can't believe that the White Sox, quote-unquote, gave up on that season. 1-2 the count. However, that trade turned out to be another huge part of the process, for without Folk and Howery closing things down in the bullpen, the White Sox would have a very good team, but they wouldn't have the great team that they have.
Very good point. Who's laughing now? Jerry Reinsdorf has the last laugh as that ball's up and away. Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of this ball club, really all he cares about is this team winning and also being physically responsible. What's wrong with that? You know, this is a business.
2-2 the count. And down on strikes goes Singleton. Yeah, it's amazing. We'll finish the point in a moment, but first, next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, exciting interleague action returns as the White Sox battle the Cubs from historic Wrigley Field. And you'll also see some other great regional action. Coverage begins with This Week in Baseball at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central on Fox. Check local listings for the game in your area. 2 outs in the second. Lee is the hitter. And he takes a quick strike. You know, everybody complains about a team trying to win in the most economic way possible. We all try to live our lives as economically as possible. Am I right?
Absolutely.
You know, not everybody can spend $100 million on a roster, and if you can win without doing so, why not? Makes perfect sense. Lee scalds that one into the club level. And the count 1-2.
What also makes me laugh when I think about it, it's amazing. All of a sudden, this ballpark is not as steep or is not as uncomfortable as they made it out to be the last couple of years, which I thought was a bunch of malarkey. This is a beautiful ballpark. Now they got a winner out here, and the fans are buying into it.
Lee drives the ball to right. Alcantara drifts back, and Izzy makes the play, and it's another perfect performance through 2 so far. Scoreless after 2, and Fox Sports, home of the 2000 World Series, will be back to Chicago after this from your local Fox station.
You're watching Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week.
Real good young pitching on display so far at Comiskey Park. Scoreless after 2, and the Red Sox come a-calling with Brian Daubach leading things off. Daubach at .269, 13 home runs. He's knocked in 46. If you would have said to the Red Sox faithful that on July 1st their lineup against the White Sox would have Ed Sprague, Burkhart, Alcantara, and Crawford, they would have said you're crazy. But that's been a real problem for Jimmy Williams. That is the toughest, I would imagine, thing for any manager to do, and that is deal with the injury that pops up out of nowhere. And that's happened to the Red Sox with several of their key players. 1-1 the count to Daubach. Pedro is out. Lewis is out. Nixon is out. Troy O'Leary is out.
Yeah, I talked to him about that today, and we were just talking. I said my stomach could be rolling. He said there's nothing you can do about it, and that's obvious. But you know, especially when you take a look at all the injuries that they have had. I mean, Fazaro is one of the starters who was doing a heck of a job. But as you mentioned, they're missing their corner people. That's where you get your power in your offense normally. First, third, right, and left. They don't have them. Saberhagen, who had done such a good job for them last year, and their closer, Tom Gordon. But Jimmy Williams has got a great approach to the game.
He's a wonderful, wonderful baseball man. His players love him. His players respect him. So do his peers. Jimmy Williams, the manager of the year last year in the American League. getting a second chance to manage in the big leagues after a stint in Toronto and then in Atlanta as Bobby Cox's third base coach. Jimmy Williams has been a very, very stabilizing force in that dugout at Fenway Park. High pop left side. Who wants it? Lee is in and over, and Daubach is retired. We asked Jimmy Williams about the injuries and how he's managed to keep his sanity in this tumultuous 2000 campaign.
We have 25 players. The other team has 25 players. All teams have injuries. Injuries create opportunity for other players. You don't like to see players get injured, but you can't cancel the season. You can't cancel these games. You have to go play, and that's okay. So it really doesn't bother me.
Well, it may not bother him, but I think you'd probably like to have Valentin and Lewis, Nixon, O'Leary, and
yeah, but what a great philosophy.
Oh, absolutely. He turns a negative into a positive.
Yeah, and he brings that to his team, too. That's great.
Little ground ball, boy. You love to see pitchers field their position. Varitek rolls out. Sirotka perfect. He's retired the first 8.
We talk about what managers do. You know, here's a guy that have the ball club of his last year kind of, I don't like to say overachieving because you can't absolutely do that. It's closer to achieving to your capacity. That's what he did with the Red Sox last year. Now he has all these problems and he's got to put up with it, but he's also got to keep his team focused and positive as they can be.
Israel Alcantara rolls it foul, and the right fielder down a quick strike. This man was having a whale of a year at AAA. 22 home runs, 63 driven in at Pawtucket, and the man with huge power potential cracked his first big league home run in the series opener yesterday.
Well, this is one of those kids that he said he's given an opportunity to.
That stays high, and the count evens 1 ball, 1 strike.
But the place, if there was one place you could stop talking about the injuries, it'd be with Pedro Martinez. I mean, if he had him, even with all the other problems, just think about where they are. As you see that breaking ball just miss on the outside part of the plate. That was Sirotka trying to backdoor a hook. But they're still only 3.5 games out with all these injuries.
2-1, that counts. Low and away, 3 balls and a strike, and the importance of Pedro, quite obviously. Cy Young Award winner, MVP candidate, the ultimate streak stopper.
I just wonder how badly he's hurt. You know, he had that problem last year in the playoffs, came in like a hero.
And there's our first base runner of the ball game. A 2-out walk to Israel Alcantara. And now Jose Offerman bats with the first game's base runner aboard for the Red Sox.
Well, that was an interesting sequence right there. You had a big rookie power hitter up who hit the home run last night. Mike Sirotka is a veteran left-hander. Just missed with a couple pitches away, but then tried to throw a pitch inside with 3 balls on the hitter. Now, that's kind of tough to do. It's tough to get a strike inside.
Offerman rolled to short his first time up. And hits a bullet that way again. Graffinino, good play. Flips to Durham in time. And the side is retired. No runs, 1 man left. We go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Herbert Perry will lead it off for the White Sox. With former skipper of the White Sox, Jeff Torborg, Chip Caray from Comiskey Park. And Herbert Perry will lead things off against Paxton Crawford, who's perfect in his first 2 major league innings. And here's another one of those complimentary pieces to the puzzle that Ron Schuler picked up. Herbert Perry sends a high fly ball pretty deep toward left. Daubach shy of the warning track, puts it away. 7 up, 7 down for the Red Sox right-hander.
You know, you've heard the term in baseball, and the players will come back and say, just missed. Boy, I just missed it. Well, Herb Perry did just miss it. He didn't get this ball on the sweet spot of the bat. When he first swung at that ball, it looked like it might have enough juice, but it wasn't quite on the good part of the bat. Tony Graffinino, also formerly with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, where Herb Perry came from, has done a heck of a job since he's been here with the White Sox.
1 out, base is empty for Tony Graffinino. Another Tampa Bay Devil Ray. Got him for Tanyan Sturts a couple of weeks ago, and Graffinino's hit .345. No homers, 6 batted in. A real good utility player who also has spent time with the Atlanta Braves organization.
Well, that's another thing, too. The experience that he had with the Braves, he's been on a winner. He's been there before. He can help this young club in the clubhouse.
That's in. 1-2. Raffinino thought it was a little bit low. Ground ball to short. Nomar to his left. Perfect throw. 8 up, 8 down. Boy, this has been a very well-pitched ball game. Time to take a look at our Pepsi All-Star balloting. And speaking of All-Stars, you're going to see Nomar in Atlanta, we would presume. Mike Piazza, the leading vote-getter among the National League All-Stars. Craig Biggio leads at second base, and that's quite a battle in the senior circuit. A-Rod leads the shortstop voting. Pudge Rodriguez, the leading vote-getter in the American League, with Jason Giambi, Manny Ramirez, Bernie Williams, Jermaine Dye of Kansas City also getting All-Star consideration, and that man will find his way to Turner Field, I'm sure. For the Boston Red Sox, and here is Mark Johnson with 2 outs, bases clear in the White Sox third.
I don't think there are enough spots on the All-Star team for all the deserving shortstops in the league, especially the American League.
Well, that's the problem I have with the rule that requires every team to have at least 1 representative. In my opinion, the game should be for the players most deserving rather than the forced system that we have in the game. But ultimately, whatever the fans want to do is what we should do. It is their game. And if they're happy with the way things are decided, then so be it. 3 balls, no strikes to Johnson. And how about this game? Isn't this something? Both men start the game retiring 8 in a row. They walk the 9th place hitter, and neither man has given up a hit. Let's join Keith Olbermann in the Fox Network Center.
All right, Chip, 2 out, bottom of the first in New York. Derek Bell at third base. The first wild pitch of the year by Greg Maddux, and Piazza strikes out. Bell scores. He beats the throw to first, does Piazza. It's 1-0. Then in the second, Benny Bye-Bye Agbayani with a homer, and the Mets are beating Greg Maddux. They've just added a 3rd run, and are still hitting in the top of the second, up now 3-zip against the Braves. 4-zip, Chip. All
right, Keith, thanks a lot, boy. That Met team got a huge lift last night. A 10-run 8th inning against the Atlanta Braves. John Rocker, as you heard on the pregame show with Steve Lyons reporting from Shea Stadium, unable to go last night with a horrible-looking blister or callus problem on his left thumb. Probably won't be able to go today. And, Jeff, that bullpen for Atlanta is a real Achilles heel for them. They need to get that thing settled down. And the sooner the better. Their lead over the Mets is only 2 games. It could be 1 if the Mets win the second game in 3 tries in the series today. Here's Durham, runner at first with 2 outs for the White Sox.
That game last night, we're liable to look back on and say the whole pennant race turned on that 1 inning last night. A 10-run 8th inning for the Mets. I had telecast the game the night before. John Rocker's return to New York, and the Braves won a big game there, kind of took the fans out of it. Things turned around last night. You see the Red Sox now are a little concerned. Now, that's 2 step-off moves that they've done with a catcher running at first base. But what a defensive team does out of the dugout is try to get a read on a base runner to see if you can see what's going on. And you can see Jason Varitek looking into his dugout, not for pitch selection, but what to do with a base runner.
Johnson a good lead, and the pitch is high. White Sox have stolen 42 bags this year. That's 8th best in the American League. And now Varitek out to talk things over with Crawford.
And on top of that, the Red Sox are worse in the league of throwing runners out. But Jason Varitek does a very fine job for this Red Sox team. And now with a veteran now I call him a veteran catcher. He really has only been around a couple years, but he has a veteran presence, and you can see that's the percentage that the Red Sox have this year. But he is trying to settle down his young pitcher after just walking a man. Very often, if you have a youngster walk a guy or give up a home run, they'll walk the next guy as well.
2-0, Penn's over for a strike. It's 2-1. Now we're entering, Jeff, the second time through the lineup. White Sox hitters, I'm sure, talking things over on that bench about what Crawford is offering up there on the mound for the Red Sox. I would think that they would have a much better idea of how to approach this kid now.
Yes, they've seen more pitches now. They have a little better idea, better read on the velocity and the action.
Off his thumb, it's 2-2.
Of course, the guy they normally would talk to would be Frank Thomas, but Frank hit the first pitch, so he can't tell you what the guy's got.
So Varitek will look into Jimmy Williams.
And Jimmy does all the signals to his catcher, and what these are not pitch selection. These are how to defend against the runner at first base. Step off, throw over, pitch out, slide step, things like that.
Short lead by Johnson, 2-2. Just missed, 3-2, so Johnson will be running. Big advantage for him. Our game is scoreless. The Mets are shelling Greg Maddux at Shea Stadium. Runner goes, 3-2. Popped up out of play. Again, Maddux couldn't pitch in game 1 of that series because of the flu. I don't think he's feeling too good now. Piazza just hit a home run. It's 6-0 New York. Well, they've outscored Atlanta 16-0 since the 8th inning of yesterday's game. That's not a good sign for the Braves. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Durham. Again, the runner goes, and again, Durham staying alive up there. Well, you love to see your leadoff man fight pitches off like Durham has done and is doing. He had a great month of June after a very slow start. Durham got hot, and so did this offense. He hit .343 in the month of June.
Well, Ray Durham has really come of age under Jerry Manuel. Jerry, that was his pet project when he first got here, and Ray is really a believer.
Ripped into right field, hit and run, works perfectly. Around second goes Johnson. He'll mosey over to third. First and third for the White Sox. Now they bring him home. The throw to the plate, not in time. How about that? The White Sox throw a surprise party. Johnson scores from first. The Red Sox took their time getting the ball back to the infield, and Fry's relay throw not in time, and the White Sox steal a run here in the third.
Well, you're not kidding, they steal a run. And of course, you mentioned it before, a 3-2 count. That's an advantage they were running. Wallace Johnson, the third base coach, as you see this pitch right in the middle of the plate, Durham lines the ball to right field. Remember, it's a catcher running from first base, and I don't say that sarcastically. The throw goes into second base. Wallace Johnson just keeps the runner going. And the short hop throw.
A good throw has Johnson, but I don't know if anybody told Fry to hustle that ball back toward the plate. I think everybody in the ballpark thought they would settle for first and third. But these go-go Sox take a 1-0 lead for Valentin. Durham's at second with 2 outs and a ball low from Crawford. 1 ball, no strikes. Ray Durham drives home his 44th run. Man, this White Sox team is fun to watch. They can beat you in so many ways. Inside, ball 2. They take the extra base. They can hit for power. They make contact. They don't strike out too often. They have 3 of their starters in the top 6 in the American League in earned run average. They have a devastatingly solid bullpen. Looping line drive hit toward Izzy and right. Can he get there? No, it drops. Durham scores. Valentin into second. What happened to Alcantara out there? He gave up on that ball. He couldn't get to it, and then he let it roll past him into center field, and Carl Everett backed up the play. It's 2-0 White Sox, and a double and RBI.
Chip, this is why Alcantara has been playing in the minor leagues so much. This is a routine fly ball to right field, and he didn't get near this ball, and he should. This should be in his back pocket. He played this safe. There's no reason that he doesn't catch that ball other than he's not confident. He just is not a good defender.
So they might change his name to Where Is He? Here's Frank Thomas. They'll take the bat out of his hands and walk him intentionally. So the White Sox, all this damage coming with 2 outs. A walk, a single, a double, now an intentional walk. And Paul Konerko, who popped out, will be the man of the hour. 2-0 in favor of the White Sox. Ball 3 outside. Jimmy Williams hoping this third inning will come to an end with the lead only 2-3. for his opponent. Plenty of action in New York. For an update, let's rejoin Keith Olbermann in Los Angeles.
You are correct, Chip. Derek Bell had a 2-run double, and then look at what Piazza does. After last night's banger for 3 runs, this is a 2-run homer. At least 1 RBI in 14 games. The record is 17. Mets 7, Maddox nothing. Top of the 3rd, and they're doing the tomahawk chop at Shea Stadium. No comment on that last shot, Chip.
Well, Keith, it sure does look like a beautiful day for baseball in New York, and it is one here. 2-0 is our score in the 3rd inning. A meeting on the mound now.
Well, Joe Curry, again, the pitching coach, who has done such a good job here, is out with his youngster. They really got to calm him down now. It's not his fault. Obviously, he did walk a batter, but then with a base hit and a run that scores when it shouldn't have, and then a second run just a fly ball drops in where basically he should have been out of the inning.
Yep.
He's still out there in big trouble, and that's what you go out to do, is try to calm him down and tell him, hey, wait a minute, you got to continue to pitch your game. It's not your fault.
One word sums up why the White Sox are up 2 in this inning. Hustle. Johnson hustling around on the hit and run with a 3-2 count. Surprised everybody by motoring around 3rd. He never stopped. The White Sox were shocked and haven't recovered yet. So here's Konerko. He popped out his first time up. 2 on, 2 out, 2-0 Chicago lead. And Konerko a little roller towards short. Nomar flips to second in time, and that retires the side. The White Sox pick up a pair. 2 hits, 2 walks, and a major surprise party. It's 2-0 after 3. Red Sox down 2. Nomar will hit second, and Jeff Fry leads things off. He tapped out to 3rd, his first time up. Mike Sirotka has surrendered only a walk in his 3 innings this afternoon. And he'll go through the 2, 3, 4 spots in the Boston lineup. Red Sox trying to move 2 games over 500. They're 38-37. Biggest surprise in the East is that the Red Sox and the Yankees aren't leading the division, and that Toronto is. The Blue Jays play in Baltimore later. Ball 2 upstairs to Fry. A big day in White Sox history today. Were it still around, old Comiskey Park would have celebrated her 90th birthday today. She opened January 1st, 1910. Beg your pardon, July 1st, 1910. And there's a walk to Fry. One of the great old ballparks that have been reduced to rubble and memory. 1 on, nobody out for Nomar, who represents the tying run. And here's today's free internet.com trivia question. Carl Everett's on pace to hit 50 home runs. Who's the last Red Sox batter to hit 50 in a season? We'll have the answer for you in the bottom half of the 4th. Here's Nomar. Grounded out to short his first time up. Can this guy hit 400?
I don't think anybody can hit 400 again.
Really?
No, not the way the schedule is, not the way the gloves are nowadays, and the way the game is played. I just don't think anybody can hit 400 again.
Many have tried. Few have succeeded. 1 ball, no strikes. On the 1st of July, many have been at or near the 400 mark. And of course, legendary Red Sox slugger Ted Williams, the last man to do it. Hard to believe, 49 years ago.
Well, of course, this kid had a great year last year. He's the reigning batting champion. He hit .357 last year with 27 home runs and 104 RBIs. And this guy is a consummate team player, too, with all these individual stats.
Well, if nothing else, if Nomar can't hit the ball out of the ballpark, at least get that runner to scoring position, and he'll do that with a solid single into center. That's the first Red Sox hit. First and second, nobody out now for Ed Sprague.
You know, as a manager, one of the things we talked about so much is you try to keep your pitchers or talk to your pitchers about not walking people. And it's easier said than done, obviously, but you know there are going to be certain base hits, but you cannot defend against the walk. We were talking about the Mets and the Braves. That eighth inning last night, they had 4 consecutive walks. you just can't defend against them. And of course, when you lead off an inning, statistically, it's close to 80% that a leadoff walk will score.
Sprague struck out his first time, and that one fouled into the Chicago dugout. No balls and a strike.
Well, they talk in baseball parlance about getting the head of the bat out in front of the plate. Well, Ed Sprague just did that. He hit the ball behind him into the White Sox dugout. But when a catcher and pitcher see that, normally what they'll say, well, he's so quick, we'll go softer. We'll go softer. Or we'll throw a fastball out of way that'll roll over. So how much I know. They went inside. Juan Marichal, the great Hall of Famer from the Giants back in the late 50s and 60s and 70s, would pitch like that. He'd have you pull balls foul, and you'd figure, oh, I really ripped that ball. And then he'd proceed to punch you out on perfect pitches away.
High pop, shallow left. Lee broke back, now charging in. Can he recover in time? Yes, he can. He thought that ball was hit much more sharply than it was, and the young left fielder recovered in time to take care of Sprague. Runners hold at first and second now for Carl Everett.
Well, as you look at Carlos Lee, he's a third baseman originally. Came up through the system as a third baseman, and he struggled defensively at third, and they made him an outfielder, and he's learning the position, and it's going to take a while. You know, when you see a good outfielder who just has instincts out there, they kind of flow. When somebody's learning it, you can see they kind of lumber after balls and have to work hard. And that is the place that Carlos Lee is right now in his outfield play. He's got to work hard on every ball hit to him. We were talking before about Carl Everett. Look how close he stands to the plate. When we get a center field shot, you'll see his right foot is right near the plate.
And I really respect Everett, for he's not all armored up like some of the sluggers you see in the game. No padding on that front arm, no padding on the ankle, no padding on the knee. He's basically saying to the pitcher, I'm standing here. If you think you can get it past me, take your chances.
Well, his right foot is very close to the plate. His left foot is down the third baseline away from the plate, but he closes up. But he does something else. If you look at his back foot, his back foot has the heel turned toward the catcher. What that does is open your hips. When he steps in, he'll dig in with his right foot, and then he'll turn the heel back toward the catcher. That throws his front knee in, and his hips open. So you can stand right on top of the plate. Your challenger will throw the ball inside, and he's going to be quick in there.
That's what Mo Vaughn has said, too. Look, I can cover the outside part, and if you throw it inside, I'm fast enough to beat you on the inside corner. That time he took it 2-1. So the pitcher really has no safe haven to throw the baseball against a hitter like this.
Well, it's true. They tried to run a cutter back in on him here, and this fooled him just a little bit. Now, normally you would say, okay, if he wants the ball inside so much, we're not going to go in there. But you can go in. Everybody has a jam spot. You can go far enough into jam everyone.
And if you do that, it doesn't matter where you stand in the batter's box.
Well, that's the next pitch. See, they went in with a cutter. Then they went away with a changeup. Now here are his feet. You can see this right foot is turned in. Now he lifted his front foot, and they threw a changeup. Now see, he's already come open, and he's vulnerable to that off-speed pitch away from him. But they set it up with a pitch before, which was a cutter in.
So what does he throw now? 2-2 with 1 out.
Anything he wants.
Another off-speed pitch, and he just did stay alive.
Except for a hanger. No, what they've really done now, they set him up. They've showed the ball in. They've gone back away. Now they can throw a changeup down away in the dirt. They can try to nibble low and away, or they can run the cutter back in on him. And that's the thing that you have. You got one more cushion here in this count. 2 balls, 2 strikes gives you one more pitch in a count that you can mess with, that you can miss with.
2 on, 1 away. Little pop back toward us. Good at bat by Everett. It was 0 for 1 on the afternoon. White Sox got 2 in the third. Red Sox trying to come right back and even things up against young left-hander Mike Sirotka.
You know, it was interesting there, Chip. Did you see young Mark Johnson, the catcher, give the target right up under his hands? I like to see that. Some people say, oh, the hitter will know where you're going to throw the ball. But he showed him he wanted the ball up and in. Anytime you see a load of numbers like that, it usually means it's going to be an off-speed pitch.
It was a little squibber hit toward first. And that's playable by Canerico. He'll step on the bag. Runners move up 90 feet. And Everett is out number 2, and Morgan Burkhart will try to get the Red Sox on the board.
Well, watch this pitch sequence. We're just talking about it. Pitch by pitch gives you an idea how pitchers try to go after hitters. That's an off-speed pitch away to Carl Everett. Now a fastball they miss up and away. They throw a cutter over the plate, and now a changeup away. Now they missed. That's a bad pitch, that last one. This was a good one. They wanted to elevate it. Now this is an excellent off-speed breaking ball. Hit right off the end of the bat. That's pretty good pitching and very good thinking of the young catcher. And then Nardi Contreras is out. They're talking of situation now. There's an open base at first base. How do we pitch in this situation? They don't know Burkhart very well. So how do we go after him? The hitter after. See, the reason they're talking about this because the hitter after that is Dahlback, and he's left-handed. Now, a lot of managers do not like to load the bases intentionally because it takes the cushion away for the pitcher. In other words, now if they get behind an account, they're going to have to groove one without walking the guy. So we'll see what Jerry does here. They were out talking this situation. Pitch. What you can do here with an open base is pitch carefully. Make sure he hits your pitch.
Well, Burkhart's a switch hitter. Dahlbach's a left-hander.
Yes.
Veritek a switch hitter. So runner second, third, and the big breaking ball stays high. Ball 1.
What they were talking about two hitters here. They were talking about Burkhart, how to get him out and be careful. And also Dahlback, don't worry now. Dahlback, the left-hander, is on deck. If you get into trouble, don't groove one here to the right-hander, Burkhart.
Fries at third, Nomeyer's at second in the Red Sox 4th. Ball 2. This will be the most important pitch in this sequence, you would imagine. Or if he misses, you might see him not take any chances and then go after Dahlbach. Let's see what Sirotka has in mind. 2-0. Ball 3 high. Sounds of the game. Nardi Contreras, the White Sox pitching coach, visiting with Sirotka a moment ago.
We got weaknesses on this guy, but you know you got the lefty up next.
Right.
So we don't have to give in to this guy. Right. You just make your pitch, and if he wants to drive that ball in, drive those runs in, then he's going to hit your pitch, not his, okay?
So let's see what he has in mind. 3 balls, no strikes. Took something off. 3-1.
Yeah, he threw a 3-0 changeup, which most hitters are geared up for the fastball, but that's exactly what we thought they'd be talking about. And that's a good point. Make him hit your pitch, especially if you can change speed so well. And that's what Mike Sirotka can do. That's his game.
Well, even a walk doesn't hurt him, but a mistake could.
Yes. The unfortunate thing is, now, of course, you got a veteran pitcher out here now, but I've gone to pitchers on the mound, they don't give in here, and 2 months later, I realized they ask a coach, what does don't give in mean?
Ball 4. Sirotka thought that was good enough. But that's his 3rd walk of the game, his 2nd of the inning. And now we'll see if the lefty-lefty matchup favors the Chicago pitcher.
Now, Dahlbach has been struggling of late, but he's a pretty good hitter. This is another great story. This guy was a career minor leaguer and was given a chance last year by the Red Sox. But what he does have one little advantage against left-handed pitching in that he tries to hit the ball the other way. He's not one of these guys that yanks off the ball. So this might be a pretty good matchup unless Sirotka can make perfect pitches with a breaking ball away.
Looked like he tried to pull that one and he missed it badly. Strike 1.
Well, that
big
was a
gap,
good fastball.
Yeah, big gap on the infield left side. And the outfield gap is in right center. And it was a good fastball. Dahlbach down 0-1. White Sox leading by 2. Red Sox have loaded the bases in their half of the 4th. Too far outside. 1-1.
Well, he went right at him with 2 fastballs, and usually when you get ahead for a left-hander, normally left-handers get in trouble when they try to throw their out pitch on their first pitch to a left-hander and get behind. Sirotka hasn't done that. He went after him with 2 fastballs.
And now time call. Fred Lynn, Ted Williams, Brian Dahlbach, only Red Sox rookie left-hand hitters with 20 or more home runs in their inaugural campaign. Dahlbach this year already with 13. Did he go? Nope. 2-1.
Well, there's that big sweeping breaking ball I thought he would go with a little earlier in the count, but the problem at times when you do that early in the count and get behind, then the hitter can say, okay, now he's going to come with a fastball.
"26 pitches in the inning for Sirotka. And he's taking his sweet time here. This is the biggest sequence in the game for him to this point. He's ahead by a pair.
Many years ago, an outstanding left-handed pitcher, Harvey Haddix, told me that a left-handed hitter against a left-handed hitter becomes a high ball hitter. You're looking out over.
Almost got hit. Would have meant to run. Now he's in the driver's seat as Dahlbach. 3 balls and a strike. And Sirotka struggling with his control the second time through the Boston order. So the lefty-lefty advantage you'd figure would be wiped out here. 3 balls, 1 strike. Big crowd at Comiskey starts to holler, and the pitch. Line drive, center field. It'll drop in front of Singleton. It scores 1. Nomar rounds third. Singleton's throw to the plate is a beauty. And in time. What a throw by Singleton. Dahlbach drives home 1, but Nomar gunned out 8-2 on a perfect peg to the plate. It's a 2-1 game. Well, little things in a tight game mean a lot. And how about the deke job by Mark Johnson behind the plate?
It was an excellent job here. You got a Garciaparra runs well. Here's the throw from Singleton heading for the plate. But look at Mark Johnson just standing there like nothing's going to happen. All of a sudden, when the ball gets there, he gets in position and makes the tag. What that does very often by decoying standing up, it has the runner kind of slow down a little bit coming around third base. Not sure where the play was going to be. That is an inside play that a catcher makes that can really make a difference.
So the man who made the great throw, Chris Singleton, leads things off, and he's ahead in the count. 2 balls, no strikes. A 2-1 game now in favor of the White Sox in the 4th inning in Chicago. 2-1. Way outside, ball 3.
Just looking at the kind of year that Singleton had last year, he was in the running for Rookie of the Year. He had 300 right on the button, 17 home runs and 72 RBIs and 20 stolen bases last year.
And he draws a leadoff walk. He had 9 assists as well last season and has 1 in today's game. He's aboard in the 4th, and it's time to answer today's free internet.com trivia question. Carl Everett's on pace to hit 50 for the Red Sox. Who's the last Red Sox hitter to do that? And the answer is Jimmy Fox. Hit 50 in 1938. Boy, we never hesitate to get those players whose last names are Fox on our trivia questions, do it. Here's Lee, fly to right his first time up. 3rd walk for Paxton Crawford here in the 4th inning. And you can understand if the Butterflies are working overtime on him today. His major league debut on national television in Chicago to face the White Sox.
He also just walked the first hitter in the inning after having had a long inning sitting in the dugout. Not only do you cool off just a little bit, but you got a lot more time to think about what's going on. You know, when you're brought up to the big leagues, boy, there are a lot of thoughts flying through your mind.
Snap throw back to first, and a terrible throw by Veritek. I think he's looking at the umpire as if to say he caused him to throw that ball wildly. All the way to third goes Singleton. Did you see Veritek? As soon as he let the ball go, he looks back at the umpire, Mike Van Vliet, and says, "You got to get out of the way, Blue." It's exactly a 2-base error.
That's exactly what he said. Not only did he say that to the umpire, he pointed right to his dugout. Hey, the guy interfered with my throw. He's turning to throw. Bang. He hit him right either in the chest protector or in the mask, and it caused him to throw the ball away. Veritek is not. Here's his arm come up. See his arm come up? Yeah, his elbow hit him in the mask.
Well, that's not the umpire's fault. He's in play. He was in his position coming out of the crouch after the pitch.
Nothing to do about it. That's right.
So a costly throwing error puts a runner at third. The infield comes in for the Red Sox. And a rope hit to Nomar. What a play. Holds the runner at third. What a tag by Offerman. Folks, that's one of the best plays you'll see all year at both ends. To not only get to the ball, to hold the runner, and then throw out Lee at first. Man, that was outstanding.
Boy, you're not kidding. We've talked about Garciaparra being able to do a lot of different things, but this is nearly an impossible play. He gets to the ball. The infield's up. He gets to the ball. Here's the play. The ball's on the outside part of the plate. Lee hits it, gets by the third baseman Sprague, but you see Garciaparra throwing off balance. Now watch the play on the other end. This is where you can really get hurt as a first baseman. Because when that runner runs into you, that can tear your arm, break an arm, dislocate an elbow. This was a great play on both ends.
Ray Ordonez had his arm broken for the Mets in similar fashion. So the Red Sox dodge a bullet for the moment. Infield still in. Here's Perry. And he pulls it foul for a strike. The play of the game defensively was just turned in by Nomar Garciaparra.
That was an outstanding play. When you see the infield in the way they're playing in, if that ball did not hit right at an infielder, you normally don't have a play. He just made a terrific play out of it, and so did Offerman. I mean, that was a great play on both ends.
And a big first out. Perry down in the count, 0-1. Now 0-2. Could be a big pick-me-up for the Red Sox if they hold Chicago scoreless here in the fourth. Good ball game going at Comiskey.
Herbert Perry's another story. We're talking about a lot of the stories you see in this game. Herb Perry, of course, a young star coming through the Indians organization, playing in the 1995 World Series, playing some outstanding defense at first base, tore his knees up, and now he's back healthy again, and a very good hitter.
And if the Bears need a quarterback, they could do a little worse than this guy. Herbert Perry used to play quarterback in Florida.
Right. And his brother is a big-time prospect with the Indians. And I asked him yesterday how he was doing, and yesterday he was having knee surgery. I said, does that run in the family? This guy's had 4 or 5 surgeries on one knee.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. Fouled out of play. Perry will face another one.
Now, there's been a lot of comparisons to our 90 team here with the White Sox that's won 94 games, the youngest team in baseball, put great at-bats on with Walt Reniak, the hitting coach. This team is a better hitting team than we were, but this team puts similar at-bats on. They don't get struck out in big at-bats normally. They get the ball in play. That's why they're so capable of coming back when they're behind in games.
Big run at third for the White Sox. Does that set up the outside corner now? 2-2 the count.
Well, it should. A pitch in like that usually puts a thought in the hitter's mind that I've got to protect inside, but this might be a situation where he goes to a changeup. His second best pitch is a changeup.
Let's see if he has it in mind on the 2-2 pitch. Here it comes. Line drive center field, pretty deep. Ought to be deep enough. Everett the catch. Singleton tags. He heads home, and the White Sox tally their 3rd run. Good fundamental baseball by the Southsiders, and they have a 2-run advantage again. Perry drives home his 15th of the year. And the throwing error really hurts the Red Sox.
That was a heck of an at-bat. That was not a very good pitch in that situation. It was up in the strike zone. But it was a heck of an at-bat by Herb Perry. Now you see how this club is rallying around in that dugout. They pat each other on the back after a bunt or after a little play like it was a home run. This was a big at-bat that drove the run in. And look who's in the middle of it. Big number 35, Big Frank. He is having fun again.
Well, what's not to like? I mean, best record in baseball. A dramatic turnaround for his individual numbers. A pitching staff that's the envy of baseball. Public that's falling in love with the team again. Raffanino jammed. High throw. and the Red Sox throwing the baseball all over the diamond.
Now he said, Jimmy, take a little walk. Jimmy Williams, the Red Sox manager, a little walk in the dugout to calm the juices down a little bit. But here's Sprague. Remember we talked about Ed Sprague. He's had problems defensively at third base with so many throwing errors last year.
And they actually scored that a hit.
Wow.
Well, Bob Rosenberg, the legendary scorer here in the city of Chicago, scores the Cubs games at Wrigley Field, scores the White Sox games, does the scoring duties at the United Center for the Bulls. Heck, he's done more scoring in this town than Michael Jordan. But I think that one should have been a throwing error on Sprague.
Well, I like to see that, though. There's one thing about it. You should, if there's any doubt in your mind, let your hitters and the home team get some base hits. I've always looked at it that way.
Here's Johnson. 1 in, 2 outs, 1 on for the White Sox. They lead Boston 3-1. And a strike. It's 0-1. 3 runs on 3 hits for the White Sox. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error for Boston. There's Rosie.
We told him we'd get him today.
He's a wonderful man and does a great job. That's a tougher job, I think, than most people realize. He has to make an instantaneous evaluation of what goes on the field, and nowadays, if players or coaches don't like it, he hears about it almost immediately. They're not shy about calling him up on the telephone. But Bob has done a great job here for years in Chicago. A huge baseball fan, a huge sports fan, and going to be a newlywed this fall, so we wish him the best.
It is not an easy job. There are so many jobs around this game. The men in blue, for example, on the field here, it's not easy, and you don't come out ahead too often, at least in the mind. Somebody's going to be unhappy with you.
Well, Ed Sprague wasn't too happy. He was saved an error. As Graffinino legged out what was ruled an infield hit. A walk, an error, a sac fly for the White Sox. Plates their 3rd run. The pitch is in for strike 2 to Johnson. Some folks feel, Jeff, that the White Sox are looking for a catcher. They had a scout in Pittsburgh, perhaps taking a peek at Jason Kendall last week at Three River Stadium.
Yeah, I heard some talk that they might trade him. They don't feel like they can get him signed. Boy, what a good-looking young player he is.
He's under contract for another year. A broken bat popped back toward us. And the Pirates encountering a very similar situation to Sammy Sosa with the Cubs. Don't know if either team either can afford or will be willing to afford the services of their most marketable player. But I don't know if the White Sox need a whole lot of anything other than more fuel for the engine. Because whoever they see, they chew up, spit out, and keep moving along. They are just an outstanding ball club. And Jerry Manuel has been the perfect man for this young team. They've bought into his program. The patience shown by this organization has been rewarded. And they have had a wonderful first half of the season. High drive hammered toward right. Let's see if Izzy can make the play. He can. And that retires the side. An unearned run is the 3rd of the game for the White Sox. And we're through 4 with Jason Varitek set to lead it off. White Sox playing good, solid, fundamental baseball, leading Boston 3-1 now with Jason Varitek due up in the Boston 5th. Another good crowd at Comiskey Park. Attendance is up. Excitement soaring high, too, on the south side of Chicago. And Varitek bounced out his first time up. Sirotka labored through that 4th inning as the Red Sox finally touched him up for a run on 2 hits. But a great throw by Chris Singleton. Gunned down Nomar Garciaparra with what would have been the tying run at that point. And now we stand 3-1. All 1 high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Where do the Red Sox go from here? Quite obviously, we talked about losing Pedro Martinez. He was scheduled to start today. Red Sox put him on the disabled list, hoping that oblique muscle problem will abate in time for him to perhaps be activated for the All-Star game. Ground ball hit towards short. Neo gobbles it up. Go to first in time. One man down. Tonight, see why the original is still the best. Where TV meets the streets, it's Cops. Then help unmask the criminally obsessed. Stalkers beware on America's Most Wanted. All new, all summer, all starting at 8/7 Central tonight on Fox. But Jeff, when you lose that streak stopper and your ace in the rotation, when you lose all the offensive thunder that the Red Sox have lost recently and earlier in the year, John Valentin, for example, it's tough to stay alive in this long marathon.
It really is. No club is really deep enough to offset key personnel going down.
Alcantara grounds weakly to Durham. Easy play for Ray. 2 up, 2 down. There are some who speculate, now that the Yankees have finally made up their minds as to who they wanted to fill left field and their DH spot in David Justice, that maybe the Red Sox will make a big move. There are some who say that Sammy Sosa is a potential fill for that ball club. The Red Sox trying to get their new stadium in some way, shape, or form publicly funded in Boston, new Fenway Park. And the lawmakers up there have said, well, if you can afford $100 million for one player, you can probably afford to pay a big chunk of the new ballpark. So that goes into any decisions that Dan Duquette and the Red Sox front office have to encounter.
Well, you could give Sammy all that money and let him build the ballpark.
Absolutely. Why not at these prices? Offerman takes a ball low. 2-0 is your count. Offerman 0 for 2 today. He has yet to get the ball out of the infield. And Sirotka, very impressive, isn't he? In and out, up and down, changes speeds well.
Well, this inning we've already seen the way he pitches. He makes batters either check swing or roll over the ball out away from him.
There's a roller toward the whole left side, and Offerman's aboard with 2 men down.
Well, even that one, he got the ground ball he was looking for. The ball was a little bit elevated, but it found the hole. But so that's the kind of pitcher that Sirotka is. He just tries to make you hit the ball. See where this ball is. Well, it did have some sink right at the end, and Offerman, you can see, rolls over it, but he happens to hit it right in the right spot of the field. And it gets through.
Third Boston hit, and here's Jeff Fry, who walked and scored the lone Boston run. Fry at 282, just 11 batted in. And 7 hits in his last 39 at bats, after he had a 13-game hitting streak for Boston. Red Sox hoping the month of July brings them much more success than it did in June when they were playing .333 baseball. That's in for a strike. 0-1.
It was a nice curveball after having thrown over the first base. Now Offerman, who stole 43 bases with Kansas City before he joined the Red Sox last year, is 0 for 6 in stolen base attempts. So that the White Sox were just planting the seed over there. Hey, listen, we know you're there.
Downstairs, ball 1. One interesting encounter for the Red Sox will be what they have left in their division. Red Sox are 16-15 against the East. They don't play the Yankees again until September 8th, 9th, and 10th. They don't play Toronto again this year. Is that possible? Could they already be done with Toronto?
That is possible. This crazy schedule that you see nowadays, that's what Bud Selig is really out to change, where you should play more games in your own division, especially in the pennant race.
So Boston's going to have to win outside the division if they are going to win the East. And winning the East is perhaps the only way an Eastern team is going to get into the playoffs. They have a Texas cage match going out west. Toronto by 3 over the Yankees. by 3.5 over the Red Sox. That's a 3-team race. Out west, though, in the American League, Seattle by a half game over Oakland. And the A's at the moment would be the wild card. Nobody would have imagined the wild card coming out of the AL West this year. Not with all the high-powered and high finances of the Eastern Division. Wild card looks this way as of today's play. A's by 4.5 over the Angels. Mike Scioscia's done a fine job with that ball club. They have had numerous injuries to their pitching staff, but they're hanging in out west too. 3 games over 500, and they can really hit.
There are so many teams in baseball right now are so vulnerable, and injuries do it. I looked at the DL list maybe a week and a half ago, and there were 100 pitchers on it. 100 pitchers who are disabled. So you can see everybody is crying for pitching. And when you take a look at the White Sox, for example, why are they where they are? They hit well, but they have 4 pitchers in the top 8 in earned run average. I mean, that's really saying something.
Swing and a miss. Down on strikes goes Fry. And even more importantly for the White Sox, no major injuries to speak of. Top of the order due in the Chicago 5th.
Fox Saturday Baseball is brought to you by A&W. With A&W, it's good to be thick-headed. By K-Swiss Athletic Footwear and Apparel. By the remarkable power of Duracell Ultra. More power, more life. And by Nicorette Gum. You can do it. Nicorette can help.
Jeff Torborg, Chip Caray from Comiskey Park. 3-1 is our score. Time now to take a look at our A&W fan cam on Chicago's South Side. It's Canada Day today, July 1st. And I'm sure some of our friends north of the border are tuning in to America's pastime. The Fox Saturday Baseball game of the week. Durham lays down a bunt. Sprague charges, throws to first. Good play. 1 man out. No sign of any throwing problems by Sprague on that effort. And Durham is 1 for 3. Here's Jose Valentin. Valentin getting the start in right for an injured Maglio Ordonez. Came up a little lame with a hamstring problem, we are told. The injury not considered serious. So Valentin gets the start in the outfield, and wouldn't you know it, hasn't had to handle a single fly ball yet today.
And normally the ball finds the guy who hasn't been out there or is uncomfortable in a new position.
Straight back 0-2.
Boy, what a deal to get this guy. And
with Cal Eldred.
10-game winner Cal Eldred coming back from arm surgery a few years back. But what a deal to get these two.
And to be able to get out from under Jamie Navarro's contract.
There's the big right-hander. New life here, south side of Chicago, and it's just like, you know, sometimes it's infectious when you join a new club. You've got some guys that are starting to come of age as young players. You bring an older player in, and he really gets his act together. James Baldwin, not right next to him, has really built his confidence to the point now he is an ace.
2-2, and Baldwin goes tomorrow. Baldwin's 10-3, Eldred's 10-2, Jim Parquet's 8-2. Sirotka's a game over 500 at 7-6. The man they're trying to get straightened out is Kip Wells, and there's a high fly ball, hits shallow right. Alcantara goes in, and Fry goes out. Good play by the Red Sox second baseman. And there's out number 2. There's some who will say, Jeff, that Chicago needs another veteran starter. If they decide to go in that direction, their farm system certainly could help them acquire a veteran guy down the stretch. But they also have a kid by the name of John Garland at AAA who is just blowing people away. And some say he's a star in the making for this White Sox organization. Here's Frank. And where do you pitch the big fella?
Well, that's a strange looking hit zone for Frank. Normally he handles the ball all through the zone except way and away and up and in. He never liked the ball inside. He used to kind of bend over it. But he is so strong. Remember, Frank is 6'5", somewhere between 270 and 280. And look at the arms on him. They look like other people's legs coming out of that shirt. But this guy was the most selective big hitter I've ever seen when he first came up. He struggled for 2 years. Now he's changed his stance.
Well, opening up has allowed him to see that inside pitch much more effectively, and if you're going to throw it there, you've got to throw it up like that at the letters.
Not only has it allowed him to see it, it has allowed him to stay in. Because when you start with an open stance, you see his foot is open. When he brings it, you bring it back toward the plate. That way, it keeps your rear end in from flying. And he, for 2 years, started to have that kind of almost bending backwards because they pitched him in so much.
He jackknifed.
Yes.
Out of the way.
Yep.
And drew the ire of the umpires for complaining about pitches that were indeed strikes. Now he's aboard with the second walk of the game. A 2-out free pass, and Paul Konerko will hit for the White Sox. Four walks for the rookie right-hander of the Red Sox. Jeff Torborg and our entire Fox crew. Chip Caray from Comiskey Park. Happy July 1st to you. It's our 5th week of coverage of Major League Baseball. 13 weeks to go, and then we're talking postseason, and the White Sox will probably be there. Konerko takes a ball high, 1-0. Of course, the World Series will be seen right here on Fox this fall as well.
It's amazing what you just said. The White Sox will probably be there. This is July 1st. And that's what Jerry Manuel will fight the rest of the way to keep his team focused. But they are good. This team is good.
I don't see anybody beating him. High pop left side. Konerko got under that. Sprague will try to make the play near the tarp. Climbs the tarp and runs out of room. Good effort by Sprague. 1 ball, 1 strike. Look, I mean, the White Sox are 9.5 games ahead. 9.5 games in front. Biggest lead among any division leader. They went 8-4 against the Yankees. They went 7-3 against Cleveland. They're 4-1 against Seattle. I mean, they have handled the best teams in baseball so far this year. They're going to play some losing teams as well. If they can keep their focus, I don't see them losing 2 out of 3 every series. Pop up handled by Fry. Konerko is retired, and the Sox strand a runner in the 5th. Nomar Garciaparra will try to get something going for the Red Sox next. With Jeff Torborg, Chip Caray. Here's Nomar. 1 out of 2. A single in the 4th inning, and later was thrown out on a perfect throw by Chris Singleton. And there's a rocket hit to left, but playable for Lee. 1 up, 1 down. Nomar 1 for 3. And Ed Sprague will hit for the 3rd time on the afternoon. Sprague struck out swinging and fly to left. Sirotka has been in complete and total control this afternoon. Another fly ball to left. Another chance for Lee. Broke back, comes in, makes the play. 2 up, 2 down.
That's amazing what Sirotka is doing, and they're hitting the ball, but he's making him hit the pitch that he wants, and you can see his line. Only 3 hits, 3 walks. Now that means that he's off the plate just a little bit, but the fact of the matter is he got help from his defense. Normally he's the guy overcoming the defense. The great throw from Singleton and the play at the plate cut down a runner there, but he has been pitching to his strength rather than the hitter's strength. And like those last 2 outs, even though Garciaparra hit a line drive to left field, he didn't hit it on the sweet spot of the bat.
13 of the 50 unearned runs allowed by Chicago's defense have been charged to Sirotka this year. One reason why he's a game over 500 with a very good ERA. In fact, if he had 2 1/100ths of a run lower in the ERA category, he would crack the top 10. A quick strike to Carl Everett. Everett hasn't done much today. He's 0 for 2. Came in with 23 home runs, 2nd in the American League. Wasn't Everett the guy that said he didn't believe that dinosaurs existed?
Yes.
I wonder if he's going to go over to the natural Museum of Natural History here in Chicago and take a look at Sue the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
He says they're man-made. You know,
I think he said if there wasn't one in the Ark, then it didn't exist, right?
Well, he's a unique guy. He is not afraid to express his opinions about anything. But he sure can play.
3-1. Full foul. Full count 3-2.
Fans in Boston love him.
Oh, terrible play by the ball girl. Boo.
Golly, you're tough.
That was an easy roller, Jeff. I mean, come on. Even you could have made this. Look at this. Textbook. Tailor-made. Clank.
Listen, she's left-handed. Give her a break.
I understand. Ground ball hit toward third. Close play at first, but in time. Everett and the Red Sox are retired. 1, 2, 3. 9 ground outs by Sirotka. He's been terrific.
Baseball is brought to you by Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
3-1, the White Sox have the lead. And one of the stars of the game today, Chris Singleton, will lead things off. Walked, took third on a throwing error by Jason Varitek, and threw out Nomar Garciaparra at the plate in the 4th inning. So even though he hasn't had a big day with the bat, he's done the other things that help you win ball games. He's a good player.
You know, that's the thing that Jerry Manuel teaches and really works on and stresses with these guys. It doesn't have to be big individual stats and big bombing hits if you do the little things to win.
That ball tomahawked toward right, and it's going to drop for a hit. That ball was up by his collarbone, and a hesitation play. Throw to second, and Singleton hustles in. Alcantara having problems in right, and they have taken advantage of his defense a couple of times now in this ball game.
Boy, this is a great slide at the end of the play, too. He went in, and the ball might have beaten him, but he made a great slide. But when you have scouting reports on the opposition, you know where there are weaknesses. And they'll just try to keep going. If there's a guy that you know doesn't really feel comfortable in a certain spot, you'll keep going. Now, you see Alcantara just fumble the ball, but Singleton hesitated, came in. Watch him hesitate. Then he kicks it in. But watch this nice slide. Head first slide, and he hooked the base.
Lee, big swing and a miss. It's a strike. It's ruled a single and an error on the Red Sox right fielder. It's the 2nd error of the game. And activity begins in the Boston bullpen. Rich Garces, the rotund right-hander, getting ready. Little roller hit toward third, and off Sprague's glove. Singleton around third. He puts on the brakes, and on to second goes Lee. The Red Sox defensively have had better days. They've had trouble in the outfield. Sprague has thrown a ball away. This time he couldn't come up with a roller cleanly at the hot corner.
Tries to backhand it. Goes down, and Singleton just kept right on going. I thought for a minute he was going to try to score. But Wallace Johnson was way up the line where he should be and held him up. And Singleton, with that quickness and athleticism, gets back. And Lee rolls into second base.
3rd error of the game for the Red Sox. 2nd of this inning. And they're at 2nd and 3rd, and nobody out for Herbert Perry.
You know, Chip, I was going to say right there, that was not a good at-bat with a runner at second by Carlos Lee. What you would like to see is a ball hit to the right side to advance the runner, or a base hit to right field to drive him in. As it turned out okay, but there are some hitters, of course, that Jerry Manuel will say, listen, you've got to go for yourself in this situation, as the Red Sox are going to intentionally walk Herbert Perry here to load the bases.
And Paxton Crawford's got to be saying, so this is what the big leagues are like? I give up 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 errors behind me, and I'm losing. He's not gotten a whole lot of support offensively or defensively in this ball game yet. And he's about to walk the bases loaded with nobody out.
You know, I've said before, one of the things that scares me most as a manager was loading the bases. as Joe Kerrigan, the pitching coach, heads out to talk to his young right-hander. But load the bases for your pitcher, because you're really taking a cushion away for him. And then he cannot pitch on the corner, that type of thing. But Jimmy has to got, at this situation here, already 2 runs down, is going to try to do what he can defensively. He just held 2 fingers up. They're going for the double play in the middle. So in essence, they're willing to give up another run to get 2 outs if they can.
But if it's hit back to the mound or to the corner man, you got to come to the plate first.
Right.
You'd think, cut off that run,
right,
and then take your chances.
Well, where you're concerned about as a manager mostly is you're not worrying about your corner people, because they normally play up anyway. But it's in the middle. How do you do it? Do you give up a run, or do you give up possibly a big inning by sitting on top of the hitter, where you got more of a chance to get the ball through? What he's trying to do here is help his young pitcher. Sure. He's trying to get him out of this inning if he can. And as you say, he's done a good job.
Yeah, there's still a ways to go in this game, too. We're in the 6th, but the White Sox threatening to make it really tough. Again, they have played a very good fundamental baseball game. They haven't bashed the baseball. They've won with bitty ball, as Jerry Manuel calls it. And downstairs to Tony Graffinino, ball 1. Graffinino 1 for 2. A base hit back in the 4th. White Sox got a pair in the 3rd, a single run in that 4th inning. And they're threatening to break the game wide open at home today. Threw it past him, 1-1 the count.
Now, the cushion I was talking about when you have the bases loaded is if you get behind, as he did on the first pitch, if he should not then throw a ball, now you've got to be careful. Then you have to challenge him. He challenged him right away, and as you said, did throw that fastball right by him.
The 1-1. Over but low.
See what I mean? Now you've got a youngster here who is, what's he thinking here? Okay, some of my best pitches I've thrown well, but nobody's caught them. Now what do I do? Do I challenge the guy in the middle of the plate with the bases loaded so I don't get to a 3-1 count?
And that's exactly what happened. 3-1.
Now here, the thoughts in the minds of people involved in this, now you got the young kid saying, man, I got to throw one right down the chute here and hope it hits hit right at somebody. On the other hand, Tony Graffinino at the plate is sitting on a dead red fastball where he gets the head of the bat out if it's a fastball he wants.
Bases loaded, nobody out. 3-1 pitch, rifled toward right. Izzy is over. He's got it. Tagging from 3rd is Singleton. He will score. Moving to 3rd is Lee. And the White Sox, again with bitty ball, score their 4th run and lead it 4-1.
Well, Graffinino didn't try to do too much. This fastball was out over. He just wanted to get the ball driven in the air, and he did it. Good approach, head right on down the bat. He didn't try necessarily to hook the ball. He knew they were going to go at him away, and he drove the ball to right center field.
And so that's going to do it for young Paxton Crawford. Didn't pitch badly. He gives up 4 runs, 2 more on, and they say goodbye to him here at Comiskey. Well, not a bad major league debut for young Paxton Crawford. Only 2 earned runs allowed so far of the 4 that have scored for the White Sox. Walked 5-2 intentionally. And the men at 1st and 3rd are his responsibility as well. And on comes big Rich Garces, 29 years old. And you're right, Jeff, he has pitched very well out of the Boston bullpen.
Boy, he has. Last year he was 5-1. You see he's 3-0 this year. Saw him a couple years ago. First of all, they got him listed in their press guide at 6 feet 215. I think they're about 35 pounds off, a little light there, but he has gotten his balance to the point now working with Joe Kerrigan where he stays over his leg and he throws real well.
And I saw this kid when he was in the minor leagues with the Minnesota organization when he pitched in Orlando, and he could bring it. A heavy baseball for a heavy man.
Well, 2 years ago, before he hurt his arm, his balance was all out of whack on the mound. He was leaning over backwards, but now he's got it all heading in the right direction.
Downstairs, another ball to Johnson, 2-0. Garces, the first man out of the Boston bullpen today. Red Sox losing 4-1 and way high, nowhere near 3-0, with Ray Durham lurking on deck in the Chicago 6th.
If what happens when you have to go to your bullpen so often as Jimmy's had to, not only has he had to go to him in games to get relief, he's had to go to his bullpen to get starters out of there. So what you do then is all your roles get messed up. They are overworked. Tim Wakefield has been a man of unbelievable roles for this Red Sox team. He's been a long reliever, a short reliever, a starter. Jimmy trying to get the catcher's attention. He's calling time out there for one reason. Oh, he's trying to move the runner behind it. The first baseman, I should say, behind the runner at first.
Ripped down the right field line, but into the seats. 3-2 the count now.
Well, you can see what Jimmy now, he's pointing to his infield, telling them where to go with the ball. He set his infield the way he wants it. Now they're bringing him up. See, they were back halfway in the middle. Now he's pointing. He wants them to go to the plate with the ball hit to them in the middle infield.
3-2. Runner at first goes. The pitch rifled foul past first again.
And you can see why he was thinking that way with a 3-2 count and 1 out. He knew the runner would be running. It would be tough maybe to turn to double play. And what a lot of managers will do will keep the infield back till 2 strikes because they figure maybe the hitter will not have that big wide open swing, and they'll cut it down and hit more in the way of ground balls. So now here the Red Sox defense in the infield is up close.
Struck him out. 2 men down. Taking second is Perry. So Garces gets the first man he faces after falling way behind 3-0. A real nice rebound.
This is a breaking ball. He throws the breaking ball, backdoors it down over the outside part of the plate. That's what a backdoor is. And Mark Johnson, he just got fooled. He was looking for another fastball. He can't believe he got a breaking ball there. Plus where it was, out over the outside, just coming over.
And how about the numbers on Garces? He doesn't walk anybody. Only 9 walks, 43 strikeouts now on the year, and the White Sox have 2 outs, runners in scoring position for Durham, who's 1 for 3 with an RBI single in the 3rd. Again, the Red Sox trying to hang in and hope that their offense can do something against Mike Sirotka. Sirotka has been razor sharp. (2-0).
Well, now he's thrown 3 curveballs in a row, and he got the one he needed most over for the strikeout, and now he's missed with the next 2. He's got a nasty sinker, as you've mentioned.
3-0 with first base open. And Valentin waiting next. And Durham's aboard on 4 straight. 1 strikeout, 1 walk for Garces. They're loaded now for Valentin. Six walks given up by Red Sox pitching today. And here's Valentin with 12 home runs. He did it to the Yankees in grand fashion against El Duque when they scored 9 in the 1st. That was a part of that perfect road trip for the White Sox. In fact, the White Sox won 10 in a row on the road, all against winning teams. They're the only team in baseball to do that in a century.
Well, he'll be looking to juice the first fastball he sees.
That one too far inside.
Well, not one that's going to hit him,
That's
but
right.
yeah, the first one he sees he can handle. This guy has had power throughout his career. He's hit what happens at times, he's hit for a low average, but he's got big-time power.
Line drive right center field. That's going to roll to the wall. Lee scores. Perry scores. Durham around 3rd. Valentin chugging in. It's a triple. And the White Sox have scored 4 in the 6th. Good things happen when you make contact, you show patience, and you put the ball in play, and the Sox have done it all year and again today.
Well, he got the pitch he wanted. That was a fastball out over the plate. Drove it in the right center field, and look at him roll. What a wonderful feeling to know that ball's going to fall safely. Look at him roll, going for the triple.
So a 7-1 White Sox lead in the 6th inning, and close the door on Crawford. 6 runs, 4 of them earned. And Frank takes a breaking ball. Thomas 0 for 1 with a pair of walks. Big RBI chance for him. He's closing in on Luke Appling's team record of 1,116 runs driven in. He needs 10 to tie him. The pitch popped up back toward Jeff, and out of play. 0-2.
Now, we talked about Frank Thomas. You know, we talk about how good this White Sox team is. Without Frank Thomas doing what he's doing this year, this club probably would not be playing this way. Now, that'll sound like it's a ridiculous thing to say, but he is really the leader on this club is because of his physical presence, what he's accomplished in the past. He's the only player in Major League history to bat 300, 20 home runs, 100 RBIs, 100 walks, and 100 runs in 7 consecutive seasons, and he's back to that again.
You were the first man to manage this guy in the big leagues. What did you think when you first saw him?
Well, I wanted him in spring training, coming out of spring training at 90, but Larry Himes wisely said he's got to stay in the minor leagues to get his feet on the ground. But what a presence.
3-2.
The first spring training game I had him play for me, he had a home run off of Nolan Ryan. I said, I'll put him in there again tomorrow. He had a home run off of Brad Arnsberg. Then I told Larry, I'd like to have him in that lineup every day. He said, no, you can't have him yet. But what a difference he made in the lineup.
3 balls, 2 strikes. And down on strikes goes Big Frank. Garces with a nice breaking pitch, but gasoline on the fire. The White Sox tally 4 in the 6th and have a big lead. Fox Sports, home of the 2000 World Series. We'll be back after this.
You're watching Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week.
For that man, Valentin in right today for the White Sox, and they're routing the Red Sox 7-1 in the 7th. Morgan Burkhart leads it off for Boston. He has struck out and he has walked. Sirotka has had a nice long rest. We'll see how sharp he is here in the 7th. And ball 1 is outside. Key stats in the game today. The White Sox have only struck out 4 times today. A little pop-up behind first, and they put the ball in play. Our score is 7-1. Let's find out what else is happening in the big leagues today. Let's rejoin Keith Olbermann.
Chip, a little news. The Minneapolis Star-Tribune, quoting the agent for pitcher Brad Radke, is saying he and his client are close with the Twins on a 4-year, $36 million contract extension. Might be done by Monday, so don't look for him to be traded at the deadline. Chip?
Keith, thank you very much. And that is big news in baseball. Many thought the Twins would A, not be able to afford Brad Radke, and B, would be forced to trade him. And now with Eric Milton, they've got the makings of a pretty solid rotation, it would seem, Jeff, for the next couple of years. And as we all know in this game, if you pitch, you win, or at least you have a much better chance to do that. So that's good news for the Twins and for other small market teams in baseball.
I think so, but there's also another factor there. Unless he got a no trade in there, he's now more tradable.
Because he's under contract.
He's under contract.
Pretty reasonably these days for a starting pitcher, if you can believe that. Dahlbach rounds to Durham. Takes the peg to first. 2 up, 2 down. 6 straight retired by Sirotka. Sunday, July 9th, the NTRA Champion Series on Fox continues with the Sempra Energy Hollywood Gold Cup, as General Challenge leads the list of the nation's best thoroughbreds into Hollywood Park, and a chance to take 1 step closer to a $1 million prize. Coverage begins live Sunday, July 9th, 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Fox. Veritek, first pitch rolling to short, and a very easy 7th inning. 6 pitches takes care of the Red Sox. Time to stretch at Comiskey. All White Sox today. of the best pitching coaches in baseball, Nardi Contreras, has to be delighted with the way Sirotka has pitched. That sinker is getting ground ball after ground ball.
Hey, that's a sweet inning right there. That a boy. That's sweet. Very sweet. Them little sinkers give you 2 pitches, 5 pitches an inning. Them little sinkers give you about 7, 8 pitches an inning.
11 ground ball outs for the pupil of Nardi Contreras, Mike Sirotka. And now Bryce Flory comes on for the Red Sox. This is his 10th game, and he's had very little success. He'll face Konerko, Singleton, and Lee for the White Sox. 1 ball, no strikes.
Bryce Flory has bounced around a little bit, Jeff. We've seen him in San Diego, Milwaukee, Detroit, last year in Detroit and Boston. Fairly effective near the end of the year for the Red Sox. He was 2-0, and he had it in 14 appearances.
That's in for a strike at the knees. 2-1 the count. All White Sox today. It's obvious this team's surreal. It's obvious this team is not going to fold. At least I don't think they will. Is this team, Jeff, good enough to get to the World Series and win the whole thing? Obviously, you have to play the games, and they haven't been there before, but they're thinking a deep run in the postseason for this White Sox team.
Well, as Jerry is thinking, I'm sure, is they let one thing at a time, but I really do believe that they are so solid. The only thing is that defense in short series can let you down, and their defense has struggled, but it is improving.
Yes, it is.
But also in those short series, pitching sets the tone, and their pitching is getting better and better.
And that's hard to imagine because their pitching's already very good. We mentioned all the men in the top 10 for them. A couple of double-digit winners in Eldred and Baldwin. Tapper towards Sprague at third. And in time. Konerko is retired. He's 0 for 4. 1 out in the home half of the 7th, and it's time for our 7-11 game summary. Big day for Jose Valentin. Mike Sirotka has been superb. Major League debut for Paxton Crawford. Only 2 earned runs. His defense really let him down, as Boston, with 3 errors, allows 4 unearned runs, and that puts a whole lot of pressure on a lineup that's already missing the big thumpers in Boston. So 1 up, 1 down for Singleton. Made the biggest defensive play for the White Sox in this game, throwing out Nomar Garciaparra with what would have been the tying run in the 4th.
That was a big play at the time, absolutely, because that would have tied the game. Never know where games go after something like that. The big defensive play has really made a difference in this game for the White Sox, and then they just kept coming at them.
Well, this is just a great story for baseball. A new, fresh face in the American League Central, which has been dominated by the Indians for so many years. They called the division the Comedy Central, in fact, because Cleveland ran away and hid from Detroit, Minnesota, Kansas City, and the White Sox in seasons past. That's not going to be the case this year. And the fans in Chicago really are being treated to a team that people can embrace. A hard-working group of guys, blue-collar, that play very well as a team. Frank Thomas is their big superstar, quite obviously. But he has really embraced his mates. Looks like he's having fun again with the game, which wasn't the story a couple of years ago. Their pitching has come around. Front office has made some great trades. Their farm system is blossoming. And the Southsiders enjoying a renaissance of great baseball, and a well-deserved renaissance. A walk to Singleton with 1 out.
Well, one of the things when you think of individually, when a player comes to the big leagues, it takes him a while to really feel that he belongs. Now, when that becomes a collective thing with a ball club, they all feel that they belong. They feel that they can contribute. Now, the other teams in baseball, for example, the Yankees and the Indians, they know these guys are for real.
Well, the first 6 weeks of the season, people knew they were probably going to be pretty good. They had a little cloak of anonymity around them. That cloak has been whisked off, and they are standing at center stage with the bright lights on them, And they have not at all wilted under the pressure. They're not going to surprise people. Everybody knows this White Sox team is a very solid, very balanced ball club. Outside, ball 2 to Carlos Lee. 89 days in first. That's it since 1995. 72 of them this year. That tells you how the Indians have dominated the Central Division. And with the trade of David Justice, you wonder if John Hart's raised the white flag. 1-6-3. Lee not running very hard in the 7th inning. Grounds into an inning-ending double play. We go to the 8th. It's getting late for the Red Sox. They're down 6 on the road. 7-1 in the 8th. And here's Israel Alcantara leading it off. He's 0 for 1 with a walk. First major league home run yesterday. He's 5 out of 15 since coming to the big leagues from the Paw Sox. And a rope just foul. That almost handcuffed Mike Riley. Hey, and the ball girl recovered. She's 1 out of 2 in the fielding department today. Made a fine play.
That's good in this game.
Haven't seen a whole lot of clean catches. And a high five for one of the fans, too. Atta girl, way to go. That one headed toward the hole and through for a leadoff single here in the 8th. So 1 on, none out. Let's check out our Napa Auto Parts home run update. How about Mark McGwire? Is this guy amazing or what? 29 home runs. He's in the 60s in walks already. He's missed a bunch of games with some back and hamstring problems. But Big Mac continues to thump away. He's going to hit 60 or more again this year.
The thing about him, when he hits them, boy, they stay hit. He crushes the ball.
Offerman takes a strike.
Now you're talking about all the new teams that are showing rebirth or different types of ball clubs this year, the White Sox being on the top of all of them.
Well, it's refreshing, I think, and that's not to disparage what Cleveland or Atlanta or any other team has done. But, you know, the big mantra in baseball is all the small market teams or the low revenue teams can't be competitive. Well, it's not really the case. Oakland's a half game out of first. The White Sox have a $30 million payroll. They're blowing away Cleveland. Toronto has a high payroll, but not as high as the Yankees, probably not as high as Boston. They're leading the East. Atlanta's there with the Mets. Montreal is in the wild card hunt in the National League, as are the Reds. And the Colorado Rockies are only a game behind the high revenue Arizona Diamondbacks. So we are seeing some new teams, some new faces. And we'll see a new hitter as Offerman strikes out swinging. And for fans who have grown weary or worried about the dominance of two teams in baseball, this has to give them hope, too, that some of the wealth is being shared, that it is being spread around. There are still problems. There are still revenue issues that need to be addressed. But if you scout wisely, if you sign wisely, and you trade wisely, you're going to be a good franchise. And that's what the White Sox have done. Here's Fry. Fry 0 for 2 with a walk, and he has scored the lone Boston run. And I think it's very easy for everybody to throw up their hands and say, well, gosh, we can't spend $80-90 million, so we can't win.
Well, that's why the games are played on the field, obviously. And the unfortunate part is when you spend so much, you got deeper teams that can offset injuries to a certain degree.
Well, they can also buy away their mistakes.
Yes. But by the same token, when you got a good young team like this White Sox team you mentioned, there are no injuries. They've got a great training staff headed by Herm Snyder. He is outstanding. And they have never had a lot of big injuries here.
The worst, I guess, Robin Ventura, and we all know what he has done since coming back. And there he is. Great trainer, great guy. He's been here forever.
He's been a good trainer, and boy, invaluable is the importance of a trainer trying to keep your guys ready and able to play. You see so many pulls nowadays. There's ball 4 to Fry. So many pulled muscles and oblique muscles, like you've heard about the problem with Pedro Martinez. A lot of that's from weight training, year-round training. But Herm Snyder has been a magician here in that training room.
Well, another magician stands in the batter's box. He's Nomar Garciaparra. White Sox have a big lead at 7-1. Nomar can make it real interesting with one swing of the bat. Wind howling out toward left. It's cooled off noticeably here. And out comes Nardi Contreras as the White Sox bullpen starts to get busy. White Sox with a 9.5 game lead over the Indians. Cleveland will host Minnesota tonight. In the second game of that series.
Well, you can almost read Nardi Contreras' lips. How do you feel? You're in a situation when you've got a cushion of a 6-run lead. You're going to go one hitter at a time with your starter, but they also have their closer up. Now, their closer, Keith Falk, has been struggling a little bit. We'll take a listen to Nardi Contreras and what he had to say on the mound.
How you feeling? Fine. You're feeling fine?
Yeah.
Just getting down a little bit under that ball?
Yeah.
All right, just get yourself back. The guy's not going to steal any base. Concentration on this sucker right here. This is the guy we want to get out. Okay? Here we go. Get out of this dude.
Yeah, don't walk people is the implicit message there for that's something you can't defend. Garciaparra with 8 home runs will try to make it a 3-run game. And a chopper foul and out of play.
You know, as you look at Garciaparra, and we were talking about stances and how certain hitters hit, you're seeing a lot more of the real spread stance. Jeff Bagwell, Jim Edmonds from the left side. Guys who spread way out and barely make any strides into the ball, a la Joe DiMaggio and Paul Molitor. But Garciaparra does that. That's why he uses the whole field.
Popped back out of play. And Garciaparra down 1 ball, 2 strikes. As great a player as this guy is, he can't do it by himself. And he and Everett are going to have to put the offensive load on their shoulders until this Boston team gets healthy. Lewis, Nixon, and O'Leary are 3 very big components to this offense. And Omar expands his strike zone. Down and in, tough pitch. 5 strikeouts by Sirotka. And this one looked unhittable.
Well, you just made a good point. He is expanding. He's trying to do so much for his team. This is a good cut fastball. Sirotka has a cutter that he runs up and in on the hands of right-handers, but at times he can vary where he throws it from the side, and the bottom fell out of it. And you can see when he keeps the ball down, those are the ground outs, the 11 ground outs. The ball that's a little bit elevated will be the fly ball.
1 ball, no strikes to Ed Sprague, 0 for 3. And a couple of flyouts in the 4th and 6th. And the White Sox bullpen starting to get busy for the 9th inning, perhaps. Keith Falk is up, and the pitch. High pop and out of play. We mentioned Brad Radke. Keith Olbermann had the update a few moments ago. Radke apparently agreeing in principle to a 4-year contract with the Twins. Radke's pitching tonight in Cleveland for Minnesota against Dave Burba. That'll make Tom Kelly real happy knowing he's got Radke for the next 4 years, we presume. That one swung on and missed. Hey, and the Red Sox run themselves into an out. How about this? How about that? Fry takes off on the bouncing ball. Alcantara stopped and then was thrown out very easily on the left side. Red Sox playing very poorly today, and that's frustrating for Jimmy Williams.
Saturday Baseball is brought to you by your neighborhood 7-Eleven store. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. By American General Financial Group. Live the life you've imagined. By Rolaids. Rolaids, R-O-L-A-I-D-S, spells relief. And by Doc Otis, a new flavored alcohol malt beverage. Real lemon, real refreshment. Unlock the Doc.
Aerial coverage from high above is provided courtesy of the Bud One airship, delivered fresh daily from a brewery near you. Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Well, Jeff, as they taught us in journalism school, there are 6 fundamental questions. Who, what, where, when, why, and how when discussing a story. Izzy Alcantara has 5 of them. Perry cracks that ball deep to left. And it's fouled for a strike. We've told you who he is. We've told you what he's done at AAA. But the question we're asking is, Where was he going and why was he going there last half inning?
Well, you got me. You never know sometimes with young players what's happening, but he ran him right out of the inning with Ed Spree hitting runners at first and second, and he saw the ball in the dirt, started to go to third, but then he stopped. If you're going to go, go. What he did, he decoyed his own base runner behind him, Jeff Fry, and then that's a good way to run out of an inning. He struggled in the outfield. He struggled on the bases. And when this kind of day happens to a player, it makes your whole team look bad.
But he hasn't been the Lone Ranger, and here is the play again. We told you we might want to rename him Where Is He? Earlier. This one is What Is He Doing on the base pass.
Well, he gets out there and then says, oh, I don't think I can make it, and he's stuck in no man's land because Jeff Fry behind him is already committed, and now you just see he just quits. He said, oh boy, I've really made a mess already. I got no place to go.
So he's out 2-5-4, and Perry a 2-strike count.
You know what I'd like to see, though? I just saw that ball in the dirt. Veritek is a hard-nosed player, the catcher for the Red Sox. He went for the ball. The ball went in the dirt. He raced for the ball, but at the same time, he was pointing to the first base umpire asking if the hitter had swung. This guy is a gamer. He comes to play. He's very much responsible for the outstanding pitching numbers of the Red Sox as Herb fouls that ball off. But Jason Veritek deserves a whole lot of credit for the way he plays the game.
One ball, 2 strikes to Herbert Perry. Inside, ball 2. 2-2 is the count. Been a long time since these White Sox were in the playoff hunt. And Jerry Manuel had a plan. As early as last season, Jerry Manuel was asked when he thought this White Sox team could be a potential playoff ball club. We asked him the question July 31st of last year, and you'll be very surprised at his answer. A little squibber hit toward first. Offerman handles, flips to Flory, and there's one man down. It's safe to say, Jeff, we can call this man Nostradamus.
I would think, if I had to put a date on it, I would think by the All-Star break of next year, I would think that we would be considered a real good ball club at that time. I would think with the program the way it is and the things in place the way it is, and also if the young pitching that's coming gets acclimated to the major leagues by that particular time, I would think that we could be something to be reckoned with.
How about that?
I think that's outstanding. They were playing about 500 ball last year at this time. They finished up 75 and 86, 21 and a half games back. But they did have a plan. This organization had a plan.
High fly ball hit toward left center field, pretty deep by Graffinino. Everett calls everybody off, and he glides over, and there's out number 2. I know it's a stretch to say this, Jeff, but I really think that this White Sox team is starting to build things kind of like the Atlanta Braves did. Get young pitching, bring him to the major leagues, maybe let him struggle for a while, find out who can pitch here, who can't, supplement with a veteran or two. The difference between the Braves of, say, the early 90s and this White Sox team is Atlanta was far superior defensively than the White Sox are now. But offensively, this is a much better club than the one Atlanta threw out there in 91 when they went from worst to first and made it to the World Series against Minnesota, I think. High fly ball hit to left by Johnson. That's playable, and it's 3 up, 3 down in the 8th inning. White Sox 3 outs away from another win at home. Keith Folk will try to be the hero in the 9th. 7-1 in favor of the White Sox. And now let's take a look at our American General play of the game in this 9th inning. Folk having a super season. 16 saves.
Boy, is he ever. Now, last year he was a setup guy, even though he had some saves. But he was a setup guy to Bobby Howry. He has got an outstanding forkball, which he uses a changeup that sinks. Now, he locates his fastball. He has been struggling lately. He's been giving up quite a few runs lately and some home runs. This is kind of a work day for him right here.
He'll face Sprague leading things off, and it's out of play. Great job by Mike Sirotka today. 8 innings, 4 hits, only 1 run, 4 walks, struck out 5 men, 110 pitches unofficially, and he should win for the 8th time in 14 decisions. Popped him up. Right side, Canerco in foul ground. Plenty of that. And he handles it easily, 1 man down. Here is the American General play of the game, and it was a dandy. The Red Sox threatening to tie the game, and Chris Singleton spoiled the fun. Base hit by Dahlbach up the middle, scored Fry, and then a perfect throw to the plate. Nomar was out very easily. White Sox held a 2-1 lead and have scored 5 unanswered runs since. Kind of nice to show a good defensive effort for the play of the game, as the attention usually shifts to the offense in baseball.
Boy, you'll take those outs. Won't you just think about that Braves game last night? Would Bobby Cox have done anything just to get an out in that 10-run inning? Well, here in this game was the great throw from center field that really stopped the big inning. It would have been a tie game and still not out of the inning.
Everett, a weak pop-up right side again. Durham will handle this easily. 2 men down. And the Red Sox are 1 out away from falling back to 500 for the first time since April 14th.
This is great. The fans are on their feet here, giving this club a standing ovation. This is wonderful. This side of town has been waiting for this. This is a great baseball town. I know I said it before, but I love this place.
Here's Burkhart. Well, the Cubs have Wrigley Field. The Cubs have Sammy Sosa. But the Chicago White Sox have the better team. And they are going to be fun to watch the rest of this summer.
You're not kidding. The great part is in this town, there are enough great fans here to support both teams. That's the great part. I mean, there are really good sports fans here, but this is terrific.
Out of play, foul, 2-1 the count. 28,006. The announced attendance today at Comiskey Park. And the Sox 1 out away from their 51st win of the year. They went 20-7 in June. Trying to win their first in July. Two.
Well, Chip, I managed the first game ever played in this ballpark. A superb managing job. We lost 16-0.
That's why you're sitting here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I'll tell you what, we knew there was something special here, and that's why it hurt me over the last few years that there was such a knock on this stadium. This is a beautiful stadium.
You don't hear those complaints now, and
no.
Isn't that surprising?
No.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Folk sets, fires, and it's low, ball 3. Nothing sells like winning. When you're not winning, everything seems to be a problem. When you are winning, everyone seems to smile, and Jerry Reinsdorf has reason to. 3-2. Swung and lined hard foul. And out of play.
Well, I can remember how things happened. 1989, we had the worst record in baseball at the All-Star break. We weren't drawing at all. By 1990, a young team won 94 games, drew over 2 million. By 91, drew 3 million in this new ballpark. By 93, they were in the playoffs. Struggled in recent years, but here they are again. It's going to be a fun summer here.
3-2 again. Out of play, foul. The White Sox with 7 runs on only 5 hits today. They've gotten 7 walks. And they have played biddy ball, and they are drawing much, much better. Again, the payoff to Burkhart. Ball 4. So life still for Boston in the ninth. First walk for Folk, of course. And here is Brian Dahlbach. Dahlbach has the lone Red Sox RBI, a 2-out single in the 4th. (7-1) White Sox leading. 8 runs, 9 hits, 3 errors combined at Comiskey Park today. Line out of play, foul. Our producer of today's game is Carol Langley McDermott, directed by Ray Tipton. Our associate director is Kathy Hunt, and the broadcast associate Kevin Dresser. Our technical director David Bernstein, and lead audio is Bill Schnack. The senior producer of the studio show is Scott Ackerson. It's produced by Gary Lang and directed by Bob Levy. The associate director is Jennifer Love. Our senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are David Hill and Ed Gorin. Our thanks as well to our AD Kathy Kerr and the Master of Mathematics Marty Aronoff for their help at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Jeff Torborg, Chip Caray in the ninth. Ripped into right field and hooking foul. The Red Sox again down to their final strike. And while the White Sox, Jeff, continue their dream season, the Red Sox have to be looking over their shoulders with worry and concern. Yes, they lose Pedro for a couple of weeks, but they have big offensive problems they have to solve as well in his absence, too. Low, ball two. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You know, just looking at Jimmy Williams in the Red Sox dugout, thinking about what you're just saying, the key is getting people healthy. If they can get their wing people back, get Trot Nixon back, Troy O'Leary back, but most of all, if they can get the anchor to the whole darn legs pitching staff, Pedro Martinez.
2-2, line to left field, base hit. Sometimes closers have more difficulty in games with big leads than they do when the game is on the line.
Oh, do they ever. There are certain guys that have been your closers who pitch with emotion. Don't bring them in a game that's not a save situation. People say, well, that's because you're looking at stats. No, it isn't. It's about the adrenaline flowing. And I think Jerry Manuel made a comment in one of the newspapers that I saw. He thinks that maybe is what Keith Folk has in some of these situations. And that's one of the reasons he probably has him in there today, to try to get him, get his work, but also get the feeling of staying focused.
2 on, 2 out for Veritek. He scalds the ball toward right, and that's going to drop and roll past Valentin. Burkhardt rounds third. He's going to score. Dahlbach stops at third. It's a stand-up double for Veritek, and the Red Sox pull to within 5 in the ninth. That 27th out is the toughest to get. And as we said, sometimes tougher for a closer with a big lead than with the game on the line. And now Nardi Contreras glides out. He'll try to calm down Keith Folk.
Well, you can see how hot he was earlier in the year. April and May, he was outstanding. Less than a run he gave up. In June, he has been struggling. This happens to a lot of pitchers. He is not what you'd call a big power pitching strikeout artist up in the strike zone. He's an off-speed pitcher that he's got to mix that in with. He's throwing looks like a lot of cut fastballs or sliders in this particular game, and he's not locating. He's on either, if he's trying to get the ball and he's not getting it far enough, or he's missing whole widths of the plate.
So Bobby Howry will get up and start to limber for the White Sox, and Scott Hatteberg will come on and pinch hit for Israel Alcantara. Hatteberg, big left-handed bat for the Red Sox in this situation. 7-2 now in favor of Chicago. Not a save situation for Folk. The lead too great. He cannot pitch himself into a save situation, but the Red Sox hoping to get Bobby Howry in with a save situation. For that means they would tally a few more here. Strike at the knees. 0-1. Don't forget, Keith Olbermann, Steve Lyons will have all the baseball news for you at the conclusion of our game from Comiskey Park in Chicago. The Mets and Braves, Game 3 at Shea. Big news off the field in Minnesota. And, of course, highlights of our White Sox, Red Sox tilt from Chicago's South Side.
I was just thinking about something. Sometimes you look at your pitchers and just wonder if they're getting banged around a little bit, if they're giving their pitches away.
That one nasty. 1-2.
Whoa, that's that thing. It looks like a palm ball. Some guys that throw palm balls. I caught a palm ball pitcher in Pete Nicholson that came over to the Dodgers from the Yankees. You can see his fingers come right off the ball because you hold it with your thumb and little finger. Some hitters start picking that up on guys after looking at films, that might be the situation here.
1-2. High fly ball, can of corn to left. Should be caught by Lee. He's over, he's under, he's got it. And the White Sox have beaten the Red Sox twice in a row. 7-2 the final. Jeff Torborg, Jose Valentin, no matter where they play him, he's a deadly offensive force. He drives in 4. Sirotka, a great start. And the White Sox played a great complete game. 7-2 the final. The Red Sox continue their struggles. They're back to 500. The White Sox at 51-29 build a 10-game lead in the Central. For Jeff Torborg and our entire crew, Chip Caray, thanks for joining us from Chicago. 7-2 our final. Keith Olbermann will update you next.